I'm going to be honest. You. I'm done.
Totally fair.
Sort your out. Sort your out. The biggest and most high quality, probably the best production value ever broadcast has just happened yesterday. And I don't think anyone is going to top it for a long time. We're going to cover that today, as well as talk about some brand new updates to the YouTube side of things and a little bit of drama, because we're drama farmers here at the Stream Room Podcast. My name is Eljay. I'm one of your hosts, and I'm joined by the boys.
Hello, I am Reapz, and that was my stream he was talking about. Thank you so much, Eljay. I hire you in hold you
in no
high
way
regard.
was it.
Hey, thank you so much.
In no way.
Thank you so much, Eljay, for the kind shout out. Thank you.
And I'm Nicktacular, and I'm the one that produced Reapz' stream, so really all the credit goes to me.
Thank you, Nick. That was really appreciated. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Hello.
Well, you sighed there, and I'm confused. Shall we talk about it now? Or?
It's fine. It's all right. How are you both? How are you doing? I know, Nikki, you're recovering from COVID. You finally got the old spice.
Yep, still positive as of yesterday from the test that I got, results I got back. So yeah, it sucks, but I'm getting there. At least I'm functioning today, so
that is good that you can join us for the podcast. Because boys, I saw a movie this week. I'm pretty proud of myself. It was very sporadic. Do you want to guess what movie I saw?
Was it Don't Worry, Darling?
No.
You went and saw the new One Piece film because you're the biggest anime fan.
Did you see the menu?
Did you know? Yes, you did. Yes, Eljay. Yes, I saw the menu. Very good. And I really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it.
I was thinking to myself, I was like, he's not going to go see some whack ass shit. Okay. It's like, I was like, Reapz is a little film buff cinephile, likes to sit there and like critique the auteur experience of everything.
Look at the negative space in the background. It was and it was so much fun. Like in terms, it was very dark. It was a comedy / horror thing, and I highly recommend it if you've got free time or just if you want to stream it later on when it comes to all the streaming services. It's very, very good. So highly recommend.
I was going to go see that today, but I'm going to have to go a different day because I was invited to a secret event. Which I'm just going to throw out there and not tell anyone anything. You can just be, so everyone, people can be like, what's going on? Yeah.
How dare you tease us?
Yeah, I know, a secret event. Ooh. Yeah. But I actually went to a film yesterday as well. We will get into all the streaming stuff, but I watched a film last night and Claire and I walked out.
Oh, no.
Halfway in. Not even halfway, probably like 30 minutes into it.
You went to an actual cinema to watch this? Okay.
We were the only one in the cinema as well.
Is it like something that we would know, or is it like a very offshoot type
I just said it. It was Don't Worry, Darling. Which is the Harry Styles main
maybe a
lead
wild director.
Yeah.
Right.
It's something like that. I'll tell you what. This film, you know how like films sometimes like they spend a little bit of time setting up the characters so you care about them in some form? Like they're like, oh, look, meet Lucy, and we're going to hear a little bit about Lucy and learn about her life, and we're going to like slowly be engaged in these people. Nah, they just kind of like threw us in right in the middle of it and just like, we're like, these are the characters, deal with it. We got so much twisty turny stuff, so much weird black swan paranoia stuff to throw at you that we're not going to give you any time to care about these people, and instead we're just going to play popular music that you like that fits the 50s aesthetic. Get f***ed.
Nice. They went in with a goal. Clearly they that was all they were playing, but it doesn't mean it was good.
It was so bad. It was so bad.
I've heard that as well, Eljay, that it's just like, it's got all this hype because, it was over and they standing ovations at Cannes or something like that. And, all these awards, all these indie awards and stuff. And then I've heard that the thing has just been a lot of backlash of, it's really not that great.
It doesn't deserve it. I've come to a conclusion that most of I used to love films like that because I was a film student and I didn't understand what the word pretentious meant yet. I thought pretentious was the same as just being, artsy. And now that I'm outside of the film industry and make other content, do other sorts of things, and I can look back on the films that I made that won awards and films that my mates won that won awards, and the films that I saw at those festivals, and I realized, they're all just pretentious. They're not artsy. Yeah. And you can see that that's a problem as well, because the same as like when Netflix creates something great, like if they actually do create a good movie, none of those like award shows or like festivals let them in. They're like, oh, Netflix, yucky, not Netflix.
Was it Martin Scorsese or was it Steven Spielberg who says that like Netflix is ruining the film medium or something? It was one of those two.
It could be either of those two. I know that Quentin Tarantino as well hates Netflix and hates Marvel and all sorts of stuff. They're all really like cruel people. But at the same time, who cares? They can these days, to be honest though, as soon as I see like Toronto Film Festival or Cannes, I instantly like as laurels on like a trailer, I'm like, I'm never watching that.
They've been paid off is what they've been doing. But we should also get into like later on as well. Speaking of the awards, the Game Awards happen, but we'll talk about that later on.
Yes.
LJ, do you want to bring us into the meat, the potatoes of today?
We got to talk about yesterday, probably one of the all-time best live streams ever has happened, right? And I think people are going to be like, oh, LJ's ignoring Ibai, who has made some amazing stuff. And no, I'm not. I've watched a lot of Ibai's stuff. It's hard to watch because obviously I don't speak Spanish, but I can see the production quality, understand it and stuff. But I try and watch every single big live event that these creators are trying to move into, right? I watched all of Juiced. I watched the Point Crow live streams where he did Mario Party in real life and Battleships in real life. I try and keep aware of it because I like seeing what people are trying to move into. And holy shit, the only phrase that I can use to describe Ludwig and what his team are doing is built different.
Yeah.
Like, it is
straight up
immense. Like, you watch any of these live events, like I love Point Crow, but you watch his live events and like the big ones and you go, this is amazing, but there's a little bit of awkwardness.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's a bit like there's a little bit of delay, the pacing kind of throws off, and it's just because the necessary budget and experience to do a big live thing like that struggles, right? And it's tricky, right? I think he'll get better with time, but I think, for example, the Mario Party one, there was a few like kinks. But then you watch something done by Off-Brand or done by these like Ludwig's team, and you're like, holy crap. This is just content, non-stop, good pacing to it. It's interesting. The commentators aren't awkward. Everyone is just doing so well. It's just amazing to see this kind of stuff happening.
Yeah, I was streaming yesterday, and when I got off immediately, I checked the Discord like I usually do, and there was all these messages from our little group. We got a little group, and saying that, my God, this is the greatest thing that I've ever seen in quite some time for a live event. And I was like, oh, I'm so excited. So I literally ran to the living room with my food because I'm starving. I'm like, oh. And then I watched like the first 2 to 3 bouts, like all in a row from the start to like that point. And it's incredible how they just know that everything looks like to a different level. Even they had like kind of swing crane shots over the ring itself. They had a lowering down table for the chest, and then it goes up when they've got the boxing stuff. It just flowed so seamlessly. And they knew that it wasn't about them. Like the people, like German was the ring announcer, Ludwig was the commentator and things like that.
Alongside Gotham Chess and a chess boxing professional, which all the referees that came involved in it was as well. All of the referees were chess boxing official referees. Yeah. Like they were all on top of it. They knew the rules. They knew how it all worked. Shocking how well it was planned.
It was, everything was additive. Like we talk about, you want to be additive. You don't want to be like the I am the main character type thing. And they knew their place, which was such a good thing. And I thought it was amazing. They had the ring entrances. And you know what really pulled it together for me? Which I think a lot of people, if they're going to think about these events in the future, is the promo packages before the fights themselves. Because I didn't know half of these people, you know what I mean? Yeah. But then you get those 30-second, 1-minute clips of like, this is the history, this is the rivalry, I'm great at chess.
Little interviews, yeah.
Yeah, and you're like, then you're invested. I was invested. I was like, oh, dude. Like when they were trash, like Spud was trash talking, like I forget the name. Toussaint. Yeah. And, this back and forth of like, he's never taken a game off me and stuff. And then I'll smoke him in the boxing. It was great. I was in. So yes, very well done to the Off-Brand team.
Really, really cool. Sorry, do we explicitly say what this was for anyone who is unsure
it was essentially, it was chess boxing, which is a sport that's done by thousands already. He didn't invent it. Ludwig's team didn't invent it. A lot of people are weirdly angry at him as well for hosting the event because they're saying that he's co-opting as if he invented it when he never said that, which is hilarious. People just love to find anything to complain about. Yeah. But essentially, the way it works is 7 rounds in total. Half of them are boxing, half of them are chess. 2 people go in, they play 2 minutes of chess, then they box for 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes, and then go back into the other one. And it's whoever either gets a couple different there's a couple different ways to win. You can win by TKO, you can win by technical KO, you can win by other ways as well, such as like obviously winning at chess, running out of time at chess. But it was just shocking. It was just honestly some of the best content that's ever been produced. And the reason I feel like you can't argue that is because the only criticism I've seen of the actual event, like proper people being like, there were problems here and there, is they usually say, I'm not a big fan of boxing. It's a shame it was boxing. Which I'm like, I totally agree. I'm not a boxing guy. I've never watched sports. I actually don't like fighting-based sports. but the way this was built and the way they explained the safety and duty of care they put into it as well, like they said, every single match they did a little survey for the people, and the people whose, if one person said they wanted a certain amount of safety gear, everyone was brought up to that level of safety gear. So, for example, Point Crow was begging. He's like, please make sure we're wearing cups. I need to wear a cup. I need to wear a cup. And so everyone wore a cup.
Yeah.
Which I was like, okay, cool. That's good to know. But it was just seamless.
It was great. It was really, really fantastic, because that's like the kind of level you would expect if you got like a pay-per-view event. Because I've got a few pay-per-view events in my times, but this was entirely free of charge. Anybody could tune in at any time and watch it, and you still can. Please go back and watch it.
330,000 live viewers at one point.
Really?
Yeah.
What do we know what fight the peak was?
The peak was the Andrea and Dina fight, which was truly it was deserving of it.
Yeah.
Because Dina is a Russian grandmaster chess player, and originally she's so good at chess. Originally, her sister Alex was going to do the chess portion, and Andrea was going to do the boxing portion. But I don't know why they changed it, but they changed their mind and made it just Andrea doing both, and it was wild. The Russian Dina went into the promo package being like, they were like, "Oh, you excited to fight Andrea?" And she says this, she goes word for word almost. She goes, "I'm very happy and excited to fight her." And they go, "Oh, why?" And she goes, "It'd be silly of me not to be happy to fight an opponent who's both worse at chess and worse in the ring."
It was, as soon as you heard that, you're like, I'm in.
Oh my god, you talked about the promo packages, Reapz, but the Dina versus Andrea bout was, they had some vinegar towards each other, like serious vinegar.
Yeah.
Well, Andrea didn't until Andrea's promo package was fine. It was really nice, to be honest. And then got in the ring, and you could tell she had seen the promo package get played of Dina, and she was like, "Oh, okay, let's do this." Dina was like, they're like, "What do you have? Do you have a strategy, Dina?" And she goes, "I'm gonna break her nose."
Yep.
That's what she said. She goes, "I'm going to break her nose." And they go, "What?" She goes, "If she wants to make her money with her face, she'll have to start a podcast."
Like, that's the trash talk you want to see. It was just so good. And then at the end, I think, they do the, post-round interviews. We won't tell you who won or anything, but I just remember that Andrea said that, "I didn't know that I'll be in a game of hide and seek for all the boxing rounds," which was like a jab back at Dina, which is great.
The chess was a little bit more lopsided, obviously, to the GM, because if you guys don't know, Andrea is a very fantastic chess player. Not as good as her sister, but still very, very good. And obviously GM is top of the top.
Yeah.
Right? Like, they are up there. But when it came to the boxing, it was definitely on Andrea's side.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, it was, which was also so satisfying to see after the promo packet. Like that promo packet saying how much she was going to hurt Andrea, and then having Andrea walk in, and after that first round, Dina is so out of breath and struggling to sit down or do anything, and Andrea's just bouncing foot to foot like, "You want to play some chess now? You want to play some chess?"
Let's go.
Good.
The adrenaline dump was real.
It's so interesting seeing how their brains just change from the multiple rounds of boxing and the mental and physical fatigue. So a simple move that the commentators are pointing out, and then they're going they're trying to figure out what the hell they need to do. It's really, really interesting, and that one really came down to the wire. I think that was the really exciting part, because you when you have a slight lopsided on boxing and chess, you're like, they need to make it happen now, otherwise it could be over. And it was really cool.
The commentators did such a fantastic job in keeping everyone up to date with just what the rules were. But there was times I was kind of like, "Oh, what's this happening? What's going on here?" There's a standing count, if they feel like they've been hurt too much, things like that. But I want to pass this back over to you, LJ, for the fact that we talked about it very briefly at the beginning. But abroad in Japan, was that your fight of the night? Was that
was I was all in on that fight, dude. Okay, I've said multiple times this podcast that I think Chris from abroad in Japan is one of the best content creators on the platform. I think he's one of the few people who goes out of his way to make the highest quality possible, right? Yeah. Even better than Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast is "I'm gonna eat a tire," whereas Chris is here's without screaming at you, I'm gonna give you some really interesting, good content.
Yeah.
And when I found out he was fighting in this, I was so excited. And then when I saw that his opponent pulled out and he was versing a new person, he was versing a guy who actually is a boxer and had been training alongside the Paul brothers in their boxing matches.
Black belt jiu-jitsu dude.
Yeah. And I saw a photo of him and I was like, "Oh no, Chris." Because if you don't know, Chris went on about a year ago, Chris got a really bad health report. So in Japan, you illegally have to do these health reports where you go to a doctor and they check you all over and see whether or not you're healthy or not. Because companies that you work for get massive rebates and tax things if their majority of their employees are healthy. So it's a whole thing built into their system. So you have to do health reports. And so he had done a health report and he was the worst he'd ever been, the heaviest he'd ever been, the most unhealthy he'd ever been. And that day he decided, okay, I'm going to work hard. And so he decided it was time to start putting effort in. He lost like 20 pounds, which is like 11 kilos from exercise, not from diet, which means it's mostly muscle shifting into things. So it's not huge weight loss. It's more about shifting health and fitness. He cycled 750 kilometers across Japan last month. And now he's coming into this, right? And he's in no way built, right? He's not fit as heck or anything like that, despite working out a lot. But he's way better than he was.
Yeah, he looked healthy for what he was, you know?
Yeah. But the guy he was versing was like a Viking. Like, that's the best way to describe it, right?
That's a great way to do it.
He was ripped. He was just like a wall walking towards you of just like muscle. Yeah.
And so they go into that chess match. And of course, Chris is in the lead because despite Chris not being an amazing player, he's obviously better than a guy who's just a black belt jiu-jitsu guy who'd never really done chess.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, oh God. The guy was like slow rolling him in chess. So he was trying to like take his turns really slowly so they'd get into the boxing match before too many turns had been taken. And then Chris enters that boxing match. And it was just amazing. Like, the guy was huge and he couldn't even touch him. Chris was just holding him at bay, keeping his reach. Like, it was, even the commentators were like, how is he doing this? How is Chris not on the ground already? Like, he was just keeping his bouncing around the ring, doing everything he could. They went all 7 rounds. I won't say who won, but like, you also can tell that Ludwig and Chris are such good friends because the entire time Ludwig is like on his legs, like jumping up and down, like, and like between rounds, Chris will yell something out and Ludwig will be like, no, you man, like, they're so good. It was just such good f***ing content. It was just such good content. And again, I don't like fighting sports. I've actually always been not a big fan of it. I don't like NRL and tackle football and stuff because I've seen the stats of what that does to people. But this was just something completely different. And I've never seen live content be so smooth and so well executed.
Yeah. It was oh, sorry, Reapz.
No, go.
Yeah, it was truly like a spectacle. And they talk about it like at the end as well. Like, it's the biggest stage that chess boxing's ever been on, and it's really cool to see. And it's like it's something that Ludwig cared about, and he wanted to put this event on. He wants to do these really interesting, fun, different live events, and he pulled that off, and with incredible viewership to go along with it. And like, you know, like, looking at the some of the shots, like where you kind of see the crowd, like they had quite a decent like amount of people that actually showed up physically to the event too, which was absolutely awesome to see. So they did an incredible job. And props to them. Like, they had a lot of last minute fill-ins. Like, they had a bunch of different competitors that they just got injured, you know, like a couple months or a few weeks before the event. So they had to find these last minute additions, which still ended up making for some pretty good fights. Like the Myth versus Churgleys.
That was great.
Yeah,
that was amazing. You could tell those two are actually decent entertainers.
Yeah,
I think a lot of the show you could be like, this is good content because of the general matches and stuff like that. But there were a few people who you watched and you were like, this is good content because these guys know how to work a crowd.
Yeah.
And you could also see the difference between people who have done live audience events and people who hadn't. Like, Myth has done a few live audience events, and so has Turtles to a degree and stuff. So they just like were amazing, right? Like, absolutely amazing in regards to it.
I think the biggest thing was you saw Myth walk out and he's just built. Like, Myth is just built, and you see Churg walks out with his like giant entourage, and everyone's looking at it going like, Myth is gonna destroy him. And it wasn't. He held his own. So he
had a chin on him. He took some punches, man, and he kept going forward. Honestly, it was just the best thing also about it to me was the camaraderie at the end of it, because, you know, when you're going into the battles and everything like that, it is very heated in terms of like, you've got one goal and that's to beat your competition. And then at the end, when it is kind of all over, everyone was a really good sport about it. For the most part, I would say the general mass was very good about it. And it's like, that's great, because you don't want to be like, as they said, injured, beaten up for no reason and just hold resentment towards everyone. And they did a really good job in terms of just making sure that, no, don't go out of your way to like really get, a concussion or something and go all in. Just, this is a bit of fun, on the day. And again, you're playing for this plastic belt, but it was really, really well done. And of course, at the end, Ludwig sent people home happy with the slap fight with... Can
I talk a little bit about that? Because I think a lot of people don't realize why that actually happened.
Oh, okay, please.
I think a lot of people are thinking like, oh, it was just supposed to be a bit of fun, right? But the problem is that Sea-Dog VA and Ludwig both have health conditions that they aren't allowed to box. So everyone heard during the event that Ludwig actually couldn't box because of his chestus excavatus, which means he has a weaker rib cage and a hole in his chest where if a punch was thrown wrong, he actually could potentially die. And there's not much people could do to stop that. Sea-Dog VA, or Connor, who's a really good friend of Ludwig and very similar creator as well, he has a condition that means his blood doesn't clot. And so there are a few things. So like where he gets a cut in his arm or something like that, it can be a bad thing. But specifically nosebleeds. If you get a nosebleed, it's very hard to stop the flow of the nosebleed because it won't clot by itself, and he needs to have medical care, and you can bleed out quite quickly.
Hemophilia, I believe it's called, right?
I think it's different. So it's a different one because he talked about it on Trash Taste, and someone said, "Oh, it's hemophilia," and he was like, sort of. It's like an offshoot sub thing, and so it's different. But,
okay.
But essentially, so he wanted to be involved, but obviously he couldn't, and so Ludwig was like, "I got you, boy. We got this, all right?" Because he wanted his mate to be involved. They're really good friends and stuff. And so that's why they did the slap boxing instead, because it's much safer for both the chest and also for the idea of you're not going to get a broken nose or, end up bleeding. Which, can I just say, is the most wholesome fucking shit ever? Mm-hmm. Like, is that not just the most wholesome, amazing way of, like, wrapping up the entire event?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like when you hear that, like, at first you're like, okay, this is a bit of a fun, geeky, silly way to end the event. But then when you hear the reasoning, you're like, oh shit, dude, that's so nice that like they found a way to involve someone who really wanted to be involved but couldn't because of being born with a genetic disease.
Yeah. No, it was great.
Sorry, Reeves.
No, go man. It's a delay. Go for it.
But it was a pleasant thing because they did a really good job. Like I think anyone who could figure out that obviously it was planned. But I think the way that they conveyed that was really fun. Ludwig pretending like, whoa, what's no, hang on, I didn't agree to any of this. What's going on? Like, actually, I will say though, his two accompanying commentators did generally, I think, did have no idea what was going on.
He did surprise them.
Yeah.
So the vision switching and production team and Germa and stuff knew, but the rest it was fully secret because they wanted to kind of surprise people with Connor and the whole thing and everything like that. But honestly, just such a good event.
It was
just such a good event, just so well put together. You wouldn't expect it from a bunch of people who just make YouTube videos for a living, but I think that's the real difference in these creators, right? Like you look at Asmongold, Moist Critical, you look at all these massive guys who bring, or even XQC who bring in way more viewership than Ludwig does. But in the grand scheme of content being produced, it's just fucking built different.
Day and night for sure. And I'd also like to bring up something as well, which I touched on beforehand. While this was going on, there was also another big live streaming event going on that was free on YouTube by Mr. Beast. It was a scissors, paper, rock $50,000 tournament. It only went for about like 55 minutes or so. But you talk about day and night and being built different at the time. You can tell that some people are YouTubers because they can't stream, and some people are streamers because they can't make content in terms of video and stuff. If you watch the 55 minutes Mr. Beast, I think it's on Mr. Beast 2, the $50,000 tournament, he has his whole, I would imagine, concept is that obviously it's $50,000. It's members of the public, and they do scissors, paper, rock, right? And I kid you not, in the first 3 minutes, he said the word retention twice. Like he was so, like he was pulling back the curtain on what he was trying to do because it was so awkward. Like, he had his little like gang posse behind him, trying to keep it entertaining, like Carl Jacobs and stuff. Like just get off the screen, please. Because when you see them in kind of like a raw atmosphere and it's not cut down to like an 8-minute video, it's just so annoying. Right? Like it is so annoying. I could make it through 5-10 minutes and I'm like, I've had enough. I don't care who wins. I don't care. There was a big thing, obviously, that if you lost in the qualifiers, because they had brackets and it goes down to the final two, I'll take you over to a little segment and there's all these like boxes with question marks on it. You got to choose a box and there's a prize inside. It could be money. It could be Feastables, and it's like, there's the retention there. But honestly, it was just so hard to watch. And the fact that, Ludwig's event was 5 hours and I was on the edge of my seat for most of it, to a 55-minute event from Mr. Beast, who his whole thing is like, how much money can you win in X amount of time? It was just, you've really got to watch it yourself and just realize that is the difference in terms of quality of content. One is made for videos. They know that they can cut it down to a thing, while Ludwig knows that this is a long-form event, a long-form content, and he can do it better than anybody else.
It's just completely it was shocking, to be honest. And I think that's what I was trying to say at the start. And I mentioned Point Crow because he was one of the ones that happened recently with the Mario Party in real life. And I think what you said was really interesting because we'd had this conversation a little bit in the Discord, was that one of the things that made it a little bit more difficult to watch Point Crow's Mario Party in real life was the fact that everyone on the floor was trying to be the star. There was no one singular commentator or one singular thread. And so it was really, really hard because there was obviously 4 people playing the game, and then there was a bunch of extra cast pretending to be Toads and stuff like that. And because they're all content creators and they're all streamers, they all are trying to add to the content. And that's one of the things you learn very early on in big collabs, is that really that makes bad content a lot of the time. And so while Point Crows wasn't bad content, it was just a little bit more difficult to watch, right?
Yes.
Because you're like, okay, let's get on to the next game. But then there's a 15-minute long back and forth about how Toad left his wife or is in a divorce or something like that, right? And it's fine. It's cool. It'll make a great video kind of thing. But I've always thought about this a lot because during the massive Rust server during lockdown, there's an amazing clip where every single person on the Rust server is in a Coliseum, 100 or so creators or something like that, all in this Coliseum, all have their voice open. All of them are just yelling and talking and making content because they feel like they're the main character because it's their stream, obviously, that they're doing. And Sodapoppin sits back, mutes himself and goes, some of these people need to shut the fuck up. You don't need to be talking all the time, okay? When you're in a collab, sometimes it's important to know what role you're playing, and you might not be the main character at all times. The people in the ring right now, they can be the main character, but you, Johnny Big Tits off on the side, you're not the main character, all right? Shut the fuck up. And I was just like listening to this being like, it is impossible to watch this right now because hundreds of people are screaming from the outside. I have no idea who's in the ring. I can't hear the announcers, nothing. And Sodapoppin was spot on. And I said after the Point Crow one that I would have loved the stream so much more if the approach had been, okay, all 4 people who are playing and everyone on the field, you guys just play the game.
Yeah.
All right. Cameras will track you. Cameras will follow you. We're going to have 2 guys dressed up as Lackadoo up the top who are our commentators explaining everything that's going on. You're all wearing mics. So if the production team want to cut and use your mics or do interviews, they can. But otherwise, it's literally just 2 commentators talking through everything. There's no delays as one person has to roll dice and stuff like that. And that's why Ludwig's team was so good, was because, as you said at the start, they had their commentators and they knew that those people were running the show. And so Ludwig would say, we're going to pass it back to German now. And now I'm coming back in. And now we're going to get in the ring. Now we're going over here. Hey, Gotham, do you want to tell us what's going on with the chessboard? How'd you feel about that boxing there, to the other ones? Like, it was so well done that anyone could watch and know exactly what was going on, and there was no delays. The people in the ring didn't need to stop to talk or stop to do anything. They didn't have to think they were doing the ones who were doing the content. It was literally just so well done. I was in awe.
And I would like to also add very quickly, sorry, Nick,
no,
for accessibility options, they also had 2 other commentary teams for French and Spanish-speaking people. So you could actually go into your YouTube player, go to the cog, go down and go into, if you spoke those languages, you could go over to there too, which is phenomenal.
Yeah, the first
Amazing.
It's the first big event like this that has been simulcast to multiple languages, which is absolute testament to that as well. And not just for like Ludwig and his event, but also for YouTube for even supporting this kind of feature. So it was absolutely awesome to see. Actually, I'm glad you mentioned that because I was going to mention it before and completely forgot.
Speaking of YouTube features as well, brand new one got announced today. Might be the coolest one that I've seen personally. Now, when you upload a YouTube short, if you are live and your short is being viewed by people, in the bottom left, your profile picture will have a big red glowing ring around it and the words live now, which means that every person who sees your short while you're live will be told that you're live and they can click one button and be taken straight to your live stream.
Love that. Love all that. That sounds right up my alley.
That is broken in terms of discovery. In the last 28 days, I have had 1.3 million YouTube short views, okay? At any point, I have between 2,000 and 4,500 views coming in on my shorts every hour, right?
Jesus.
Which is broken.
Yeah.
Now, if I was live for 4 or 5 hours, which I haven't been live recently because I've been working on the YouTube stuff so much. But if I was live for 4 to 5 hours and even just 1% of those people were willing to check me out, the discovery is off the charts.
Insane.
Okay? It is actually broken. And I've been telling people this for months that YouTube Shorts were going to be broken in this way. And now they're like, hey, just a heads up, we're making it even more broken. And I swear to God, I am so fucking happy that 45 days ago or whatever it was, 50 days, 60 days, that I left Twitch. I'm not even joking. This is amazing. Also, it helps that my last YouTube video, my main one, has 105,000 views in 9 days.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's a little bit broken as well.
Has the subs gone like up tremendously because of it?
Yeah. So it's about so 105,000 views in 9 days is what it is right now, which is fucking sick. 20,000 hours of watch time on that one video, and then we've gotten 1,100 subs from that video as well.
Huge.
But most of the subs come in from a secondary, so they watch that one and then they watch a different video and they sub on the second video. People don't sub on the first video, so usually the sub count on a big viral video will be decent, but you'll notice the other videos on your channel that are similar will be the ones that randomly get like a bunch of extra subs.
Gotcha. That's very
but yeah, so essentially channel's monetized now, everything's all up and running. And I just really want to make a YouTube video called, this is the most toxic I've ever been. But I said to my wife, I was like, do you reckon I should make a YouTube video that's just called I Told You So? And just sit there the entire time being like, I fucking told you so. All right. Everyone who doubted me, everyone who said I couldn't do it, everyone who said, oh, you know, LJ, he doesn't actually do content, he just talks about streaming. I just want to make a video being like, I fucking told you so. It took... I parted ways with my editor and I nutted up and I said, I'm going to go in this and actually do it myself and stop being scared. 6 videos. And then I had one pop up and get 100,000 views. I just want to say, I know there's a lot of luck involved, but I did it. All right. I did it.
You did.
So if you want to come after me and talk shit,
you
hit. Fucking do it. All right.
Settle this in the chess boxing ring.
Yeah, I'd love that. That'd be great. Harris Heller versus Eljay. Not that there's any beef. I just like two amazing
Harris hasn't talked
yet.
smack about me. The other day, I tweeted out about how well the channel was doing. This is before this one blew up and got the 100K. So I was only getting like 1,000, 2,000 per video. But I tweeted out being like how happy I was and how well the channel was doing and stuff like that and all that sort of thing. And Nutty was like, which is why I love Nutty, right? Nutty replied back being like, it's so good to see someone who gives stream advice, but doesn't... it's so good to see someone who not only gives stream advice, but actually takes their own advice and actually is making content they're passionate about.
Yeah.
It's a breath of fresh air, right? Which is so fucking true. Like, legitimately, like, it's the thing that shits me off so much is people will only do stream advice. And I did stream advice, but it was after I'd already grown my Twitch channel. And my Twitch channel was always predominantly like 90% gaming and just chatting, right? There was almost no stream advice until right near the end when I quit Twitch. And so like, I always felt like a little bit vindicated in the sense that like, I'm not that guy who's just making stream advice, then going live on Twitch and growing with more stream advice. You know what I mean? Which I think a lot of people do. And now I feel the imposter syndrome is at its lowest it's been in a while, boys. I'm telling you. The imposter syndrome has fucked me for the last year, but this last week, I'm sitting here just like, you know what? Fuck that. Fuck the people commenting.
Yeah.
Screw the people commenting. I've had so many people comment on my videos being like, don't listen to this guy. His other YouTube channel is only just like getting 1,000 views. His other YouTube channel is not great. His other YouTube channel is not doing enough.
Sup, dude? See these 6 figures right here?
Yeah. Or people would be like, he doesn't understand how it works, actually. Yeah, everything he's saying doesn't make sense. He's not going to have a video do well. That's not how it works. Mr. Beast says it does this way, so therefore it definitely has it this way. I would never do any SEO on my videos. I understand browse and suggested. Fuck you. All right.
He's proving everyone wrong. The self-validation feels good.
Let me just check something. This is outside the 20-minute mark, right? Yeah, great. Yeah, keep swearing. This is good.
That's fine. Don't worry. I wouldn't stress. But no, I don't know. I'm only teasing a little bit, by the way. I'm still very much like, okay, I got a long way to go. And the next video I upload is not in any way going to hit these same numbers. It's going to probably do far less. But at the same time, I had a really shitty tier list video. Not shitty, but I had a tier list video that was going to go out this following week after this one. It was pretty much all done. Specifically, I want to take this out there. I didn't release it. I would rather let the Lechonk video do its thing. And I would rather work on a bigger video that has a higher standard to it than release a tier list video for the sake of releasing videos following up.
Yeah, that's smart.
So instead, I have this other tier list video. I'll release it down the line if I want to. But instead, I'm working on Mario Party. Can you beat Mario Party when the CPU cheats? That's what it is. because there are 3 particular CPU who always cheat when they're on master mode. Like legitimately, like in Superstar, if you play alongside Rosalia, she'll be like, oh, I just perfectly rolled a 2. Why'd she, what? That's weird. Why is she going to a random empty block? Oh, it's a lucky block. Oh, she got a star from it.
Yeah,
it's so broken.
This is juiced levels, and I had a very similar thing that I'm going down that avenue of, as I made like 2 videos of it, but I've got like a good narrative now. So I'm very excited for that.
I can't wait till we jump on to our recording next Tuesday. And LJ's like, I'm never playing Mario Party ever again.
I love Mario Party though. I really do. I love it so much. I have another one that I'm going to do where it's can you win Mario Party by only stealing coins? The goal is, I'm not going to buy stars. I'm just going to aggressively try and steal coins so they can't buy stars.
Is this like you're just going to do it to the computer and see how it goes?
Yeah, master mode. I'm just going to verse all the,
okay,
yeah, I'm going to verse all the master mode ones. Yeah.
I was going to say, because
like
if he tried to rope people into his weird Mario Party challenges, I feel like he'd just be breaking friendships. Like everyone's just trying to play, and LJ just keeps stealing coins, stealing stars.
Just bullying. Just aggressively bullying.
Yeah. But no, I like legitimately I agree with you that it is broken. Like YouTube has reached the point. It's like they have given you all the tools that you need to succeed. Where the biggest problem with live stream has always been discovery. And YouTube's going like, hey, make your videos, make your short form, which is can very easily go viral and very easily be discovered. And then people can discover you through that. And it's hard to ignore. Like you can't ignore the benefits of everything that's providing. And like, you know, as we've all discussed, like a lot, you know, Twitch still holds a place in our hearts. We still like love Twitch for what it is and what it was. Mm-hmm. But when it comes down to it and you really want to make this work and you want to succeed, you need to be on the platform that is going to provide you with the tools and to do that. That's going to give you the best chance of succeeding. And like that's again like a big reason why I've again, you know, just really sort of shifted my focus to really going hard on this tech channel. Like I've been in Notion while I've been sick. I haven't been able to record or do anything, but I've just been content planning for like the next few months, video ideas, you know, like scripting out like what is this video going to be about? What am I going to do? This and that, and planning it all out, what I think is going to work. So, and I feel so motivated and excited, and I can't wait to start working on these videos now, and just kind of ride off that momentum of the successful video, and just it's so exciting.
I just think you said for a second that we all still love Twitch. I don't. I legitimately don't anymore.
Well, yeah, you've changed, but yeah.
Here's the thing. Here's the problem I have. I also haven't talked about this much, but I had a really bad situation come out with Twitch, and I kind of want to throw it out there about how bad this actually was. Okay, I haven't talked about this anywhere, but maybe actually just to you, Reapz. I think I talked to you. But when you're a Twitch partner, they send out surveys to everyone. Okay, being like, hey, fill out this survey, fill out all this information, and do all this stuff. They don't say that your name is going to be attached to it, but they also don't say that it is, right? And there's no form section to say, hey, I'm okay with giving you my data, or there's no form section to say, here's my username. Right? So I filled out the entire form, all of it, every single thing, honestly, because I wanted to. And then I received an email directly to me based on the form, inviting me to be a part of something. And that's when I realized that I had given them information that I didn't want to give out and have attached to my name.
Right.
So I had private information given to the marketing team, the staff, and everything like that. And no one had ever made it clear in those surveys that they were going to be directly attached to me, my username, and my account. And that really fucking pissed me off, to be honest. At first, I was panicked and really worried because it was private information, right? It was stuff that was like, hey, I'm going to give this information out because I think it'll help make the things done in the Twitch ANZ space better, right? And I think it'll be better for, you know, things that they're trying to do. But then when I found out that I was actually being directly linked to it, I was like, that's not right. That shouldn't be a thing, right? Like that shouldn't be okay. And I was panicked, and then I was pissed the fuck off, to be honest. I got to give credit to staff. I reached out back to them and said, hey, wasn't aware that this was going to be made attached to this thing. This is not a public information. This is not something I want people to know about me. And they were very kind to be like, okay, we've removed all that. If you want, we can delete the information. We'll do all those sorts of things. But it shouldn't have been a situation where they had to be kind and sort it out for me in the first place. And that for me made me very, very, very frustrated. and is probably also a big part of why I am very let down by the platform as well. Other than everything else I've talked about, but that was a big moment for me as well.
It's a big one too. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, personal information should never be given unless obviously there's consent or you understand what you're signing up to. So yeah,
just put at the top.
Yeah,
this will be directly. This information is going to be directly linked to your username. You know what I mean? Because if they'd said that, I would have been like, I'm not doing the survey. Or I do the survey, but I would just be like, I'd fill it out less detailed, right?
Yeah.
But they didn't say anything like that. And so I don't know. I think when you combine a bunch of bad personal experiences that I've had on Twitch over the last year, the bad decisions that have been made, the slow decisions that have been made, that clearly show that they'd rather have, Train have 120,000 viewers than take a stance against gambling. Like all these different steps that have taken over the past year make me go, yeah, there's some serious issues on this platform. Whereas I've been on YouTube now full time for Stream Scheme for a few years and never had a single issue, right? And then I've started the Eljay channel and I've really taken it on myself for the last month and a half, 2 months. And I've already had outreach from YouTube, right? Like I've already directly started talking to people from YouTube, and they're working the right veins. They're doing kind things, and it's just generally it's so much calmer and easier and less stressful. And when I fill out their surveys, it specifically says your username and account will not be linked to this, which is fucking nice for you to tell me. And I don't know. So to clarify, I do actually really dislike Twitch right now, and I think that there's a lot that they need to fix up, especially the Purple Cliff situation.
The purple.
I talked about this. Yeah, I talked about this a little while ago. I'm not even going to bother stress trying to turn off sub count stuff because I'd remove my partner badge if I could click a button, but I can't. I'm not going to stress about it. But bigger creators who have moved over to YouTube still have thousands of subs subscribing to their channel every month, and they can't email blast them because you used to. Do you guys remember you used to be able to email all your subs?
Yep. I love that.
Why was that feature completely removed right before people started moving across to YouTube? Was it because of the OnlyFans links, or was it so we couldn't email blast all our subs and say we were leaving, please cancel your subscription? I don't know, I'm just really curious.
Yeah, it was probably both, honestly.
Yeah, I would love to be able to email the 120 people still subscribing every month and say, hey, please cancel this. You're not getting content.
Would you be like, come over to YouTube, this is my new thing?
I would just say, hey, please don't spend the money. I'm doing something different now.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
You're not getting content, but there's no way for me to reach all those people because they're not necessarily in my Discord, and they're not going to see me ever go live, and they might just be spending the cash
and you're not realizing it.
Just left it on auto renew.
Purple Cliff said it was something like 3,000 to 4,000 USD a month or something like that was being spent, and he can't email blast them, he can't ping them. He's made videos, he's made posts, he's done everything he can, and Twitch won't remove the partner badge from him, right? He's made public videos where he's asked them to do it, and they won't do it. So I'm going to be honest. Fuck you. I'm done.
You're out.
Totally fair.
Sort your shit out. All right. You're a multi-billion dollar company. Sort your shit out. Shield mode. I'm really glad you've added it. Now sort your shit out. I'm really frustrated, guys.
Yeah. I can tell.
I feel it.
But people keep turning around and acting like I'll talk about this great thing that YouTube will do, and they'll be like, yeah, but they don't have channel points, so Twitch destroys them. Motherfucker, what? What?
Yes, because that's going to save the entire platform against YouTube.
I don't know. I'm really let down.
Speaking of letdown, so was this a good segue? Can we talk about the Game Awards in terms of the craziness that happened in terms of Bill Clinton, that whole thing?
Oh, yes.
What was going on there that literally anybody can walk up onto the stage with what we would say are VIPs of the industry, and security's just turn the other way. If you don't know what happened, basically, I think it was it for Elden Ring? Was it the final award of the night?
Yes.
And a kid walked up with the devs of Elden Ring because they won Game of the Year. Spoilers. Elden Ring won Game of the Year at the Game Awards. And he walked up on stage with them. Everybody did their speech. And then at the end, he comes forward and he goes, I'd like to thank my mentor, the unorthodox Rabbi Bill Clinton, something like that.
I want to nominate this award to my reformed Orthodox Rabbi Bill Clinton.
That's the one.
And then
there we go.
And then they cut it, and immediately the security stepped in. It's like, surely the production crew would have just started to cut like cut the mic, to not let him, continue
Well,
talking.
the fact that he was up there in the first place, you're kind of like, what the fuck is going on? That nobody even for a moment was like, oh, he's one of the like. Not even the devs were like, who's this guy? It was just this weird kind of in between state of this unknown stranger on the stage talking to people and being able to say anything that he wanted, because I mean, he said obviously that, but imagine if he said something else that could have like just been taken yards and yards and yards. It was very weird. I know that the guy who organized it, the Game Awards dude, said the kid has been arrested. Obviously, it's going ahead and everything like that. But it just goes to show you, like, you talk about personal safety and stuff like that. Even at a big award things, there's just not that safety inherent that you can even feel safe in a space. I found it very peculiar. I'm sure people find it very funny, but
No, it was wild. Like looking back at the clips, the Elden Ring team, they're walking up, people like they can like sort of, shaking hands and getting congratulated as they're walking up. And then you just see him in the aisle, like clapping, and he kind of just joins the conga line, and then he's like tapping their back, going like, yeah, and everyone like no, completely just like a chameleon, just kind of seeping in there. And then it just seemed weird. I remember I was watching it with a friend of mine, and we're just like, who's this kid? Like, where did he come from? And no one said anything. Like, and I get that security didn't want to just kind of rush in and ruin the moment from the Elden Ring devs, like accepting the award. But I'm just like, yeah, I mean, you got to kind of do something. You can't just let someone walk up.
just stand up there. And there was always the big thing of like people online saying, listen, this was a big ploy by the Game Awards to compete with the Oscars and do something controversial. I was like, who came up with the idea of a kid coming up on stage and saying the most random stuff to compete with the Oscars? Like, let's not fool ourselves. It was poor planning, poor security, poor everything on the half of the Game Awards.
But what was, listen, if there were, what did compete with the Oscars was Flute Guy.
Flute Guy? What's that?
Wait, did you during the final musical performance where they're like showing off all the different like game nominees for the Game Awards?
Oh, no, I have not seen this.
Okay,
I've
so
heard of it.
So they've got the Game Awards Orchestra for those that don't know, and they play music throughout the night. And then when they're announcing Game of the Year, they play a song from the soundtrack of each of the game nominees. One of the people in this orchestra, right? My man, like, stole the show. Out of the entire orchestra of people, this dude was going hard. He used like, I think 3 different instruments throughout this entire performance, and he's going into it. And there is like memes and GIFs online. The entire Game Awards chat was like talking about Flute Guy, and he was just over the moon. Like, he was like, had so much energy. He was literally bouncing in his seat. And everyone's just like, you know what? Dude, don't talk about Bill Clinton, kid. Talk about the Flute Guy.
Flute Guy. I got to go back and look at Flute Guy because, again, I didn't watch the whole awards. Obviously, I just saw, the big segments of these are the winners and stuff. And then obviously the kid coming up and talking about Bill Clinton. And I was wondering, because in my Discord as well, people are talking about Bill Clinton. I was like, what? Why is Bill Clinton making a comeback? Like, what the hell? But I'd also like to get your opinions very quickly on some of the awards that were won, because it was like last week or the week before that we picked our Game of the Year. And we picked, the multiplayer of the year. And the multiplayer Game of the Year was, I believe, Splatoon 3. Have we played Splatoon 3, boys?
Not my kind of thing, really.
Yeah.
I've played Splatoon 2 a bit, and it was quite fun. Like Splatoon in general is a bit of fun. I can see why it won. It's definitely very popular, and there was a lot of hype around Splatoon 3. So I'm not overall surprised, but yeah.
And Modern Warfare 2 got diddly squat, which I thought was quite apt, given the whole situation with Blizzard Activision at the moment. But yeah, the big winners were obviously God of War, Ragnarok, Elden Ring, and of course the most anticipated game is Legend of Zelda. But that's what I want to touch on in terms of the Game Awards. There's not really much to really go into, but it was interesting to note. Do you think people take validation in the Game Awards? Is it like a really big thing to have? Because Ludwig also won Content Creator of the Year, which is very well, I think, deserved after what we just talked about when it came to the boxing.
I don't think it's physically argued, to be honest.
Yeah.
No.
I don't think there's a single person who could sit there and argue it. And the people who do, again, I feel like I know I'm a fan, but I feel like the people who criticize him, it's never for like, they never have an actual reason outside of he's just not my thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They'll never be like, oh, but this person did such a much bigger and well put on event or a more original event or anything like that. They'll just be like, I just don't like Ludwig. Or they'll be like, I just don't like boxing, or I don't like chess. And that's fine. You don't have to like it, but you can't argue how fucking wild the things he's done this year have been.
Yeah. Groundbreaking, I would say, like just in terms of his business reach. Like he's set himself up, as we talked about last week, for a life beyond content creation. Like he has shown and proven to a lot of people. Speaking of, did you hear that he did his whole, I think it was 50 hours inside a glass case at DreamHack, right? And the big selling point at the end was whoever donates the most gets to choose the tattoo that goes on my body for charity. And it was Valkyrie. And obviously Valkyrie is another YouTube creator who went from Twitch to YouTube. And she said has to get the Twitch logo on Ludwig's leg. So Ludwig now has a Twitch logo. But the funny thing is, if you see the Twitch logo, it's a cat, like the old hang in there
so
thing.
The way it worked was that she didn't necessarily pick. It was the top few donators, the people who donated the most or the largest amount during that last bit of the stream, could suggest 3 or 4 ideas. And then the chat would be allowed to vote on the ideas. And it came down to 2 options, Coots, his cat, and the Twitch logo. And at the very last moment, he clicked end poll, but he didn't. He just minimized the poll, and then he opened it back up and ended it. And at the moment it ended, it was the Twitch logo was in the lead at 51%. But then when he actually ended it, it was 50-50.
Oh.
So to make it fair for everyone and to do it properly, he combined them and put it on his leg rather than having a Twitch logo on his hand or a cat on his hand, which was originally the idea.
Gotcha. Okay, that's good then. Although I didn't read the article, but apparently the Susan responded to Ludwig
It
getting his tattoo.
it was just a quote tweet of eyes, just the eye
eyes
emoji.
emotes, like the really big eye emotes, looking over, which I thought was hilarious. But then Ludwig tweeted back saying, listen, I'll happily get a YouTube tattoo if you want to do it with me, Susan. So maybe in the future, we'll see Susan and Ludwig holding hands as they get YouTube tattoos on them. That'll be great.
Actually, speaking of charity, though, I believe Jacksepticeye, he raised $10 million for food bank. Sheesh. Over his Thankmas campaign, which is absolutely bonkers. So
a big one as well right now. On top of that as well is the Yogscast are doing their yearly JingleJam.
Awesome.
And in the very first night of the JingleJam, they raised $1.3 million in a few hours. Yeah,
What?
Which is legitimately extreme. I was watching that first night and I did cry a little bit watching how much they earned and how amazing it is to have been a fan of theirs for so long. I think they're at a 3.2 now. So
damn, okay,
absolutely
look at them go.
Insane.
That's just
it is immense.
Yeah. I was going to say, but very quickly, I guess we'll just go through all the little things that we've got in the back of our mind, or little news pieces. Last week we talked about, I think it was Trainwreck's new streaming site, kick.com. And obviously, it was launched and everything, and people have gone over there. Not really. When I went over there, the number one, you're not going to guess this, the number one category was slots at around 6,000 viewers. Yeah. And the next one was just chatting at 2,000 and then 50, 60, 70, type things. And it was released the other day that you'll never guess who was one of the main backers, or is actually the CEO of Kick.com. It's one of the Stake CEOs of Stake.com. It almost seems like a funneling service for gambling, but live streaming. But that's just me, maybe. I don't know. And as soon as Trainwrecks, said that yes, Stake.com owns a big stake in Kick.com, he said, if you don't like it, then just don't stream here or don't watch it. And you know what? I think I'm going to take him up on his advice, and I'm not going to stream or watch it as well.
Sounds pretty good, yeah. And hopefully a lot of the community also agree.
It's absolutely immense. But boys, anything else that you've got in terms of the week that was, before we go into, I guess, deeper stuff? More.
I was gonna say. So on the JingleJam quickly, if you guys are listening to this, it should still be available because it should still be in December. But you can actually go to jinglejam.tiltify.com, and for I think 30 Australian or 30 USD maybe, you can get over 120 games. So I'll just list off. It's 85 plus games, and I think you have to spend £35 is the minimum to donate. all of it goes directly to charity. All of the game keys are donated by devs in order to help the initiative. But I'll give you some little words to give you an idea. Age of Wonders, Planetfall, Plate Up, You Suck at Parking, Here Comes Nico. We got First Class Trouble, which is actually a really, really fun game. It's like Among Us, but you're a bunch of like first class travelers on a spaceship. It's very funny, and you can like throw bottles of champagne at each other to knock you down and like arrest them. It's very good.
It's so good.
Factory Town, Connect Tank, Final Vendetta, Bonfire Peaks, which is also a really fun little indie. There's so much stuff in here that legitimately it's wild. If you want to get like an insane number of games for a very cheap amount, and most of them are actually fully playable in the terms of you'll enjoy them, right? Like I feel like a Humble Bundle has an issue for me. Whenever I buy Humble Bundles, I'm like, I play like 2 of them, and the other 30 I never touch.
Yeah.
But every JingleJam, they play them all, they pick them all, they're careful with who they add, and of these like 85 plus, most of them I've had a little look at, and I'm like, damn, this is fun.
Are they
specifically?
Are they just providing the Steam codes?
They give you a Steam key. Yeah. I think there's 1 or 2 that are on Epic though, and that's an Epic code, and that's fine. But a massive shout out to a particular one called Little Inferno, which is a game that is just like, it's so old now. It's like almost a decade old, but it was this story game about how the climate change had locked you all inside your houses because it was freezing cold. The ozone layer had trapped all the cool air in. And the idea is that you had to order things from a catalog and burn them to keep yourself warm in your house, right? And there's all these little puzzles and things you can do, but it actually evolves into a really nice little story. So it's very casual, fun little thing, but with a really fun little story to it. 10 years later, they've released DLC and a whole nother story in the game.
10 years
so you can just,
wow.
You can just download that update as well, and it's so good. It's honestly, if you haven't, you should definitely check it out. Turnip Boy Commits Tax Evasion is in there. I think you can get a half price on a whole Displate order as well, which are really cool posters.
Wow,
Displate. Yeah, Displate's
I mean,
great.
I know this sounds like an ad, but it's all for charity, and it's just like, it's just, I bought it, Claire bought it, and it's just so good over the Christmas time to be able to chill out and play a bunch of indies and stuff.
Half price on Displate? That's significant.
Love me some Displate. Love me some Displate.
It's very, very cool. There's something for everyone. I don't know. I really recommend, if you like gaming and you're into gaming, I would check it out. Especially if you're a content creator as well. A lot of these are really funny little games to play as on like YouTube videos and stuff.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. That sounds like a lot of fun. I'm just on the website now, and I'm seeing, all the charities that they've going towards and stuff, and it just seems like a really cool, well put together thing. And I honestly haven't really known about it until like the past year or so about JingleJam, so I'm a bit late to the party.
I've been watching these guys since like the OG days. One of the few ones they did early on was they used to do it, so every year they had a different initiative. So this is some of the amazing stuff that actually people do out there. They used to do it, so they'd pick an initiative each year and they'd do it. So Wales was one of the years, Save the Whales. Honeydew's Honey Drive, when they were trying to save the UK bees, was another one. They did goat milk or like goats or something like that for Oxfam and stuff like that. But they raised so much money that they couldn't buy enough goat. They were going to buy too many goats, so they were like, please stop buying goats. So instead, they only got a couple goats for the farms and stuff like that needed them and things. But like, it's amazing. And like these days, they've got British Red Cross. They've got a bunch of LGBTQ charities. But one of my favorites is Special Effect, which is something similar to Star Foundation, which is here in Australia, one that we all probably know. Starlight, yep. But Special Effect is gaming for kids in hospital, kids in need. And it's just like when you watch the promo packages and stuff for Special Effect, legitimately, they've had this girl, Becky, who can't speak and has to use like an iPad to talk and uses her eyes to paint and stuff like that. And seeing the like changes she's had over the last 5 years, thanks to things like the JingleJam, it's just such a good cause. Like, can you just like influencers? They're like the reason. Before, when we were talking about the Game Awards and steak and stuff, I didn't say anything because I specifically avoided looking at the drama around the guy coming on stage. And I've actually specifically avoided all the steak.com stuff. And I just think that there's so much good, right? Like, I'm trying to shift my focus a lot over the last, like, about 3 days ago, I took a big stance against stuff. And I was like, I am not clicking the drama.
Yeah.
I'm going to do my best to not get involved in it. You know, I think Twitch dragged me into having to be aware of this drama because streamers, so much drama happens in our space. And I took a big stance that I was like, I'm not going to look into Kick. I'm not going to look into the guy coming on stage. I'm not going to look into it. I'm just going to stay focusing on these positive, amazing things. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna try and do my best for that. Sometimes I might still get pissed off, but like JingleJam, man, it's such a good cause, such amazing. Same with Jacksepticeye as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, and you make a great point as well. Like, I think I guess it's just the nature of the internet. They just want just people eat up the juicy goodness, like the controversial drama. It's like, oh, what's the bad thing that happened? What's this and that? And you're right. Like, there's not enough people that are trying to, like, well, brain words. Let's try that again. There's not enough people that are putting themselves out there talking about the good things that matter, like good things that should be getting attention instead of like the drama stuff. And, you know, it's always going to be the case. You're never going to fully sort of change that, like that social sentiment of how it works. But completely fair in how you feel, LJ. At least
I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I don't think there's anything wrong with it, right? At the same time, it was more just a matter of like, I'm not aware of I'm like glazing over them, right? Like I don't want to dig deep. I don't want to spend my time getting involved in, or, you know, reading about how some guy got up there and maybe said something anti-Semitic. I don't know, right? Like, and I'm not paying attention to the Kanye stuff. And I know for a fact that someone's going to call me privileged about this, because every time I talk about this, people go, well, the fact you can ignore it shows privilege. And it's like, okay, sure. Honestly, at this point, sure, because I find that if I spend all my time just focusing all the negative stuff that's out there, I'm not going to be able to do anything positive for people.
True.
That's just a hard fact of it.
Yeah.
And
I guess it's moderation, because I think there's always going to be bad stuff and good stuff. And it's more the fact of which you choose to have your attention towards more than anything, because there's some things that, you know, that I can't affect or I can't change. Like, for instance, I feel like one of those, you know, when people go on Twitter and they just get angry because, again, Twitter's just a big old, you know, echo chamber, and, you know, it's this side versus this side, and you just get riled up and you feel like you want to have your say, but it's not going to, you're talking to a brick wall really at the end of the day. Like, who's the bigger fool? The person who's trying to argue with the fool, or the fool themselves? And it's that kind of thing. But you've also talked about Notion, and I don't think a lot of people know what Notion is, which
Notion
may help
is
them out.
broken. That's what that is. Notion. Notion. I was talking in the Discord like a few weeks ago, and I think it was Mads and Nick were talking about using Trello, and I was like, hey, I've been there. I used Trello, but I'll tell you what, Notion, this is where the real kids go now. All right. This is where the Chads go. Virgin Trello users, Chad Notion users. Okay.
Is it like the Drake meme?
Yeah, sort of. Yeah. It's more like, no, I think it's the Virgin Chad meme is probably a better way of putting it. Yeah. But essentially it's just built in such a way that it's amazing. If you want giant pages of notes, you want to do a content calendar, you want to do anything, like, it is just built so well for any project whatsoever. Like, you can even do like engineering blueprints in it. Like, it's just so wild. You can put anything in there. And it's just, I don't know. There's no words to describe how flexible this thing is. And you don't have to set it up yourself. It's got all the templates as well.
Yeah. It's so freaking amazing. Like, you can run it in a browser. It's a phone app, or you can just download it as software on your computer as well. And the sheer amount of different things that you can do and have things all connected together. Also, Trello makes you subscribe for a freaking calendar, and Notion just gives it to you for free. So like, that in itself is like amazing value. But yeah, I'm a Notion convert now. Like, Notion is absolutely amazing. And you can get the full extent of the software just like for free. You can either like even on the basic personal plan, or like on the trial like Teams plan. And you could do a lot. Like, it's going to be a while before you even get to the point of having to like actually pay for it. So Notion is definitely something amazing. But Reapz, you mentioned what's one thing I would want if I was a new streamer. Clearly, it's Ninja's streaming course. Like, that is what I would ask for Christmas.
Remember Ninja's streaming course. What do you Ninja has had, by the way? Like, I think because he's now streaming on every platform, right? Like, that's his thing. He's now streaming everywhere. He's a multi-streamer at the same time. He's Thanos right now.
What an absolute just silly decision to make. He made that decision to lose his partner badge, and I just feel for him, because he made that decision. Clearly, it was in the works for a long time.
Yeah,
and he ditched it, and he went to multi-stream everywhere, which meant that he was making no money on Twitch. He was streaming on TikTok, and he was also streaming on YouTube and Facebook, maybe. But like, it just didn't make any sense for what he was doing and then like 2 days later, Twitch was like, hey, you can stream anywhere you want. You just can't multi-stream. So he really didn't have to lose his partner badge technically if he really wanted to. He could have just had different stream times.
Yeah.
But you know what the worst part was? So many people were saying that the Twitch change was because of Ninja. And I was like, what are you people talking about? Like, come on, guys. Do you really think Ninja matters? Ninja doesn't matter.
He maybe mattered in
Absolutely not.
2017, but definitely not now.
It was wild.
I mean, like that's the thing, right? It's just like the simple by association. It's like, oh, big thing happens, Ninja does this thing, and then Twitch makes its decision soon after. Oh, it must be linked. It has to be. Why else would they announce it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Without using some brain cells to actually think about it. But
I think it's just people don't know the space, right? Like, we're all in our own spaces. There are probably creators out there that are doing amazing stuff that rival Ludwig that I haven't even thought about, right? Like, I'm probably a little bit silly for thinking, like, no one's even coming close to him, right? Because at the same time, so it is a bit silly to listen to them and be like, guys, Ninja doesn't matter. But at the same time, they're probably just in the Ninja space.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? You know what I mean? It's the same way as, like, people who are in the W community, WL community, they don't know what poggers and all that stuff is. They're not in those space. They think it's lame. You know what I mean? Which, can we talk about how it's interesting that as Twitch blew up over the lockdown, the thing that people loved about it, the community culture, has like split off into like multiple community cultures on Twitch, and they kind of all hate each other. Like the poggers community, all of the LW people hate them, and vice versa. It's really odd, isn't it? Like that they can't just coexist nicely. There seems to always be a problem.
Yes, but I think, there are, like everywhere in life, there's always the people that take it too far. Like they feel like they have to be patriotic. They have to be, this to this brand, like the old PlayStation versus Xbox stuff. And it's like, why not just have both? And there's the epiphany type thing. But yeah, very much so. But again, we've talked about it a lot, but Twitch's demographic, I would say, is highly teenagers. Male teenagers, I would say, it probably makes up most of Twitch. Maybe, obviously early 20s as well, but those are the ones that really have the time to watch it and like put themselves in that culture and go back and forth. And anything that like, they said something bad about Aiden Ross, I've now got to flame them on XYZ. It's just so frustrating to watch and to look at. And I'm hoping beyond hope that we do get to a point where in live content creation, wherever it is, that it isn't just this person versus this person, or, this person's falling off and I've got to, point that out. Rather than just like, I'm watching this because I like it and I'm now in this community because of the community itself, not because of a reactionary thing. Because we talk about like earlier in the year when it was Gideon and Pokimane, and they did that big back and forth, and Pokimane, she must have banned Gideon off of the platform entirely, and now they're friends and stuff. And there was also that time when Pokimane was live, and she got a live kind of, I think it was message from Ninja saying, I had nothing to do with Gideon or whatever, getting off the platform. And if you think I did, we're gonna have a big problem or something like that.
It's like, I'm gonna sue you.
Yeah. It's just.
I mean, if we want to see all the drama in a quick recap, hold on. Here you go. I got this. I've gone to the Mogul Mail YouTube channel.
There you go. Yeah. There we go.
Which has had millions and millions and millions of views. But 11 months ago is when he first kicked it off. The first drama was Twitch removing him from their thing, then Pokimane being banned, and then Gideon going after Pokimane. Yeah. Then he spent $30,000 to get revenge because of the Smash tournament drama.
Oh, yes.
Then it was YouTube causing issues with copyright and taking money away from creators, like the Ant-Man. Do you remember the Ant-Man drama where it was all that stuff?
No.
He made a video, and then some other guy didn't like the video, so he made a video criticizing him. So Ant-Man made a video criticizing him and talking about how the guy who criticized him was like a disgusting hate group. And then YouTube demonetized Ant-Man, but they demonetized him because he made a joke doxing threat against YouTube staff, not because of the videos. Dude, there's just so much stuff right? Yeah. Like, it's absolutely wild. There was the NFT drama with Ice Poseidon.
Oh, Ice Poseidon.
The Valkyrie skincare stuff was this year as well.
Really? That was this year?
It was like the very, very, very start of this year, I believe, because 2 months later was when the TikTok star got picked up by the same brand but with a different name.
Oh, Addison Rae. Yeah.
Yeah. The live stream fail drama because they started attacking creators and doing all sorts of disgusting stuff, and then the creators were fighting live stream fails. It's so fucking stupid.
It is.
What is this industry?
The half of these things I actually have didn't even hear about at all.
Yeah, good. Yeah, good.
The skincare one, I had no idea what that's about. The live stream fails one, I completely missed the boat on that one.
The speed drama where he started screaming at girls in video games, calling them horrendous fucking slurs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We got the Twitch Rivals drama where Disguised Toast's English-speaking team went up against the Spanish team, and it blew up into a giant, essentially racist shit fight between the two of them.
Here's a question I'd like to ask. Do
Hit me
you
with
think
it.
you can grow in content creation, whether it's videos or streaming, if you're not doing two of the following, and that's either creating controversy or reacting to controversy? Because
I think absolutely. Yeah, I think you can. I think you can, as long as you just put your head down and create valuable content. But I don't think you can do that on a platform like Twitch when it's live. But I think on YouTube, you can create your own little space and just make good quality content. I mean, look at creators like AlphaRad. Look at creators like Jaden Animations. Like, there are amazing creators on this platform who just put their head down, make good quality content, and then they just go from there. You know what I mean?
leave it at the door. Because that's the kind of universe I would love to be in. Because I think you're right.
Hey man, come to the red side.
Yeah,
I would monetarily, I would love to, but I cannot at the moment.
LJ's rolling up with a red bus. He's like, "There's plenty of room in the back."
I mean, you know, 7 months ago, more drama 7 months ago was when Twitch announced that they're never going to go more than 50-50 sub split.
And that kicks in June of next year.
Exciting. Then we had the Sykkuno a few months after that. Sykkuno moved over with the other guys to the YouTube side of things.
Yeah.
KSI lost $2.8 million in crypto after that. Remember that? That was good.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
God.
Activision released the fact that they'd created a inclusive chart, which was the idea of they had every Overwatch character, and then they had a little pie chart that they would say how inclusive they were, including their race, their sexuality, everything, and they had KPIs to make sure every character had certain amounts, to the point where they were even writing like, Anna is this really specific race, and this is the percentage. It was really fucking weird.
That is so bizarre.
Yeah.
Yikes.
XQC won $4 million gambling, and then used that to pay back people who were scammed by a gambler.
Won $4 million. Yep. Very good. Here's something we can touch on as well. Speaking of monopolies in general, there was the big move that Microsoft was going to acquire Activision and Blizzard. But over in the US, there have been movements to block that, to say that no, Microsoft cannot get Activision Blizzard because, again, it'll be more of a monopoly. Do we feel that we're now getting to the stage where there can be that thing where there will be one ultimate corporation that rules all of the gaming, lifespan? And, like if we get EA, if we get Activision and stuff, will that make games crappier, or will it be better now that it's under one umbrella? Because I think
that's only AAA.
Yeah.
Like, we got to remember, like the AA or indie space is still crushing it at every left, right, and center. Like most people aren't exactly excited for the new CODs and things like that these days. The AAA scene is like a speck in the whole grand scheme of gaming. Like, let's be real. Most people who are gamers don't just sit there playing like AAA games anymore.
No. But I think it's the fact of, like, how Disney acquired Pixar, they acquired Marvel, they acquired all these big franchises, and everyone's like, there's a big monopoly, they're now under this banner, and they're just going to release the same Disney-esque type of stuff, and it's ruined the franchises. Do you think your beloved franchises, let's just say, for instance, Microsoft, it acquires CD Projekt Red or something like that. Would you feel like, won't make a difference? Or, now that it's under Microsoft, they have to release stuff and that they don't really want to release or stuff?
It's a bit of an interesting question. I mean, like, Phil Spencer's he's shown that he genuinely understands and cares, but at the end of the day, he's
not fully. He's one guy.
Yeah, he's a dude that is running a company and needs to make sure that it is continuing to be successful.
I mean, okay, but also we got to talk about how many studios Microsoft has bought and then died. Like, they've killed.
Yeah,
they've bought studios, taken them around the corner, and shot them in the head. Like Scalebound, not just Scalebound. There was the Banjo-Kazooie. They bought Rare and then just fucking destroyed Rare. To the point where, like, all the Banjo games that came out were trash, and just Like there were so many things that they picked up and they did put out back. I'm not saying Microsoft is bad, but they don't have a good track record for buying studios and then treating them well.
Yeah, exactly.
I would say that's
concern.
changed. It's in recent years, like very recent years. Like they are essentially doing a hands-off approach and just giving studios money to just make good stuff. But like, I mean, like Rare's been working on Sea of Thieves, and that's all they're doing. I don't know if Rare's like will actually, end up making anything else with how successful Sea of Thieves continues to be. Would be cool to see them eventually.
I just use them as an example because when before they got bought out, they were like top of their game. Right, like before they got bought out, they were doing wacky shit. Like they were like the top for the last like decade of doing amazing stuff, and then they got bought out and brought in, and it was like, "Hey guys, welcome to Banjo's Nuts and Bolts." It was fucking terrible, worst shit ever. Right, like lost all the heart, the soul. They got put on like really crappy like little, pretty much mobile game style level shit. I don't know. I'm not saying that Microsoft is always bad, but if we're looking at the track record,
and I guess that's the thing is like we're also buying. Because I remember when Blizzard was its own standalone company, and it was like the peak. It was like
rest in peace.
That's what I mean. Like they put so much effort into their games. They had like all these banners of what they have to do. It's got to be original. It's got to be this, that, and the other. They had little staples and everything. And now you look at Blizzard stuff that comes out like Diablo 4. And again, it's like 3 different levels of game that you can buy, the deluxe edition, the mega deluxe, whatever it is. And to me, it just feels like, let's just slap a Diablo 4 thing on there and release it. But again, I don't know because it hasn't been released. I can't say. But that's what it looks like for me at the moment.
Yeah, even just looking at Diablo Immortal and all the controversy about its microtransactions and things like that. Or
Overwatch 2 as well, right?
Yeah.
You can see in Overwatch 2 the issues with microtransactions. And you can see in a lot of Blizzard games, like Dragonflight apparently has been a nice revision to what it should have been, what WoW was originally, but it's just too late, Like it's still $25 USD for a mount in that game, right? To buy like one of the fancy ones from the shop. You can get normal ones in game, but like people like myself, like I have over like 1,100 mounts or something like that in World of Warcraft.
Sheesh.
And like when you were that back in the day, it was like, okay, so maybe they release one mount every expansion or 1 or 2, and it's like I can spend $50 so that I have the full collection, right? But nowadays it's like, hey, you want to spend $180 to have every single one that we've released this expansion? That is just a reskin of something you grinded 8 hours for like 2 years ago or 3 years ago.
Yeah, it's the landscape's changed a lot, and I mean that's it. That's definitely in part of like their merger with Activision and Activision just being money hungry. But that's why I think like a lot of people are concerned about the merger, and like the FTC has stepped in to try and sue, like the merger happening, sue Microsoft, but. Like, and then Sony's the only one that's like outcrying, being like, "No, they can't buy Activision Blizzard. No." But and then like Xbox is straight up taking shots. We're like, we said like, "Hey, we'll do a 10-year deal with Call of Duty for you on PlayStation," and they just entered that into with Nintendo. So like their arguments are just getting shut down. It's like you just want to keep, you just don't want to do it because it looks bad for you. Yeah. So I genuinely I think it will go through, and I do think that in the long term it will be a positive because I think like Activision's influence and their struggle to like make money by just so instead they're deciding to just shove microtransactions everything. At least with Microsoft, it'll be focused on more making good games and not just making wallet
if
crunches.
Microsoft buys it out, are they pushing Tencent out, or is Tencent staying involved in this? Is what level is the buyout? Because if you guys don't know Tencent is the, I believe, Chinese practically mobile game. Yeah. Like PUBG mobile stuff and everything like that is run by Tencent, I believe. And like people blame them for a big part of the microtransactions and the issues. Like, what is this level of buyout? Is my question. I don't really know.
Like a full like Microsoft completely like. You can consumes them into their conglomerate. So like anyone who has like investments in them that just like they don't hold any weight. Like Microsoft will hold all the keys.
I mean, that'll be good, to be honest, because Tencent probably shouldn't be involved anymore with the way they're treating certain things. And, they also own, I think, 40% of Epic or something like that. Or I know it's like 60% of Epic. I'd have to Google it. Shit. Yeah, Tencent are involved in a lot of shit. Dude.
Yeah, they got a big slice of Riot's pie. And then they've put some investment, I believe, into Bungie and Epic. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd have to Google it. Reapz is Googling now, the filthy Googler. But I'm my main worry about the whole thing is really just a matter of, at the end of the day, I just want studios to be able to still do what studios do.
Yeah.
Like I find that a lot of the time when these big buyouts happen, sometimes studios just don't have the ability to keep doing what they should have been doing. And I think that was a big thing about Activision and Blizzard was, as you said, Reapz, like that it just went wrong.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you just got to deal with what you can deal with. You know, I love Destiny 2, but I think the microtransactions in that are absolutely toxic, even though luckily, it's all pretty much
aesthetic,
cosmetic.
Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't affect too much. You can do everything you want. But it's just the face of gaming at the moment. And if people don't want it, they just got to not buy it. But the problem is the people who are upset about it won't buy it. And the people who aren't upset about it outnumber them and spend way more money to encourage it. So
Sure. Just very quickly, I just typed in Tencent, and the first thing that pops up is, the little kind of debrief about it. And it says it was
on Google.
Yeah, me Google. It was founded on the 11th of November, 1998 on the Cayman Islands. And you just think immediately, I wonder why they would want to set up shop in the Cayman Islands, but yes.
I mean, hey, look, Google and Amazon, a lot of them are based in fucking Ireland for a reason.
Yes,
so
they don't want them taxes. But yeah, that was just to touch on, just to cover the week that was, in terms of, obviously we know there's a blocking things coming through, the whole stake stuff, the whole Game Awards things. But it is interesting to note just how much has happened in the space in a week, because sometimes there are those weeks where it's kind of like, nothing's really going crazy. But also, Nick, you did have notes that you just posted there about some of the stuff that Twitch was hoping to do in 2023. I think you put it in the Discord.
Oh yes, yeah. So
that may be good to cover.
There's a little bit that they've is being reported by good old Zach. So 15,000 Twitch viewers has upvoted requests to remove hate groups from Twitch's charity function and still denied. So
no, not still denied yet. Twitch denied a previous request.
Oh, previous request. Sorry.
So yeah, they're not. Yeah. So the two groups that currently are being protested are, one of them is an autism conversion group, or a group that pretends like they're there to help with people on the autism spectrum, but in reality they try to convert them off autism because they think that it's. Anyway, moving on from that. Then the other group is a LG. It's LGB group. They're not LGBT. And I have large connections to anti-trans people. So there is a big push to have both of those removed from the charity platform, because those were automatically integrated into Twitch because they were involved in the PayPal charity fund, which, if people don't know, the way it works is that most of the charities involved for the charity thing that Twitch released, which is like essentially you can turn on a charity button on any stream now without Tiltify and stuff. And they used all of the default PayPal charity funds, which is interesting because we have to talk about, is this just like two billionaires giving each other kickbacks? Like the PayPal, do the PayPal guys get a charity cut because they're taking all of this and doing all this stuff? And does it help Elon? Like, there's a lot of details there. Twitch likes to say, hey, we don't take any cut or anything, which is awesome. Very proud of them for that. But like, is there a charity cut down the line for someone else? Very interesting. But sorry, yeah, you can. There's 15,000 people have said to remove certain groups.
Yeah. So hopefully that does go ahead. But that number, seems to be like that it's growing, which is why it's sort of in the news cycle. But they're also implementing. Twitch is planning to implement a bunch of like different like analytical additions and changes. So there's like an upcoming tag impressions. You can actually see proper impressions of the tags and what is actually mattering from like their tag system.
That to me is great. Like,
Doesn't that already exist though? Like, I can see exactly, and have been since I started, the exact tags that people were finding me for.
Really?
Yeah, like that's what. Yeah, there's like a percentage.
Yeah, you can go down and see. Oh, you had 800 people find you from tags, and these 66% of them came from closed captions or whatever it is. Like, it's there on dashboard already.
I'm wondering.
They must be doing
different.
A big deep dive.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's more the fact of like instead of just like for a personal, like these are the tags that work for you. These are the tags that overall have been, giving a lot of people.
Oh, that's cool.
I'm posting this. This is the photo of what it's going to look like. I'm putting it in general chat. So you've got the list of tags, what the tag is on the left. Then you've got a column which is views, and then impressions.
Right.
So that which is
impressions is good, but That's
I don't quite understand how that's
what
yeah.
what part though? No, because it makes sense, right? Because like the idea is that who sees the thumbnail, but who clicks it.
Yeah.
A view is someone who clicks it. The impression is someone who actually sees you in that category with those tags active.
Yeah.
So you can activate tags at the top of categories, or you can search specific tags, which means if that tag is attached to you and you get your stream gets shown, that could be an impression. But if it's actually clicked, it becomes a view, right? Like that would be the case.
I believe that would be how it is. Like impressions, obviously who they pushed it out to and who saw it, and the views, obviously the people who clicked on it because of that reason.
Gotcha.
I do feel like that this is just are they going to announce they have an algorithm that's going to do anything else soon? Like the problem with the system that they're talking about, the tag system, is that the majority of people aren't searching. Like they're not going to the top and typing in, I want to find myself a birthday stream, which is a tag that is in Bussy's example, or they're typing in maybe a game or a specific creator, but it just feels a bit confusing, to be entirely honest, about how, like, I can understand maybe if they're going to start changing the front page up to give you like more specific tag results that you like watching. Oh, you've watched 12 streams that have Amaranth in the tags, which is a tag people do use weirdly, because they're trying to clout chase by people who search Amaranth. Instead, the people with the tag will come up, which is, I think, is personally a little toxic. Like, can we like that's a problem that they have to solve. But like, are they going to be like, okay, you watch 12 streams that have Amaranth in there, so we'll put a bunch of people who have Amaranth as a tag in the front page? You know what I mean? It just feels like they're adding all these analytics, but it's like, what's the algo? No, the users, these analytics don't change how the users use the platform. They barely teach us how the users use the platform. They go straight. Also, all three of us have been told that Twitch wants you to go off platform and bring people in because they know that Discovery's trash. So, like, buy Twitch. So it just doesn't make sense to me. I'm glad they're adding it all, but it doesn't make sense.
The overall goal, like what are they trying to achieve by adding all of this in? And yeah, it's the kind of thing we'll kind of have to just wait and see, and how to actually, if it actually makes sense and if we can make use of it all. But I mean, they're clearly cooking up something in the Twitch HQ. So and now they're also changing the placement for goals as well. So you can set like follower and sub goals, which like integrated like into the chat when someone subs and things like that. So now they're apparently going to put this next to your about section, so you can people can see it.
At all times,
like,
because I do get that a lot. I get people coming in and they're like, "Oh, you've got this goal. What are you currently on?" And for them to like see it, it's either got to be like, say, another sub or another follow if it's a follower goal. And that's when it pops up.
Or you got to put it on your screen, and that sucks ass.
Oh, the freaking browser's just, it's disgusting.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Or you just don't want to have big overlays on your screen that cover like everyone's different, but like I know that Reapz and I both despise having anything.
Yeah.
So having a dedicated place for it will just go next to the about section from what the screenshot looked like. And an upcoming test of viewer engagement metrics will show when you received follows, subs, and clips. It will also allow you to shift the time increments of the data. So essentially what I'm reeling from that is it's going to, I guess, you can look back at a VOD and see when the follows and when subs came in and when people clicked.
they currently have one that you can go to that'll show you all of the biggest chat engagement moments of like people writing and how many messages went out. And I think it roughly shows you an idea of what the types of messages were. Were they laughing? Were they not? Whatever it is.
Gotcha.
And like it's like a big graph, and they've had this graph for ages. They're just making it more obvious to see now. And you click on the graph, and it'll take you to that section, and you can see. We talked about it a few podcasts ago about how it's a cool graph, but at the same time, it doesn't actually teach you that content is good, because you could have gone AFK, as you said on the podcast, Nick, and put on words on stream, and that's when you had the most chat engagement, right?
Yeah.
And this is a cool update to it. Credit where credit's due, because now you can see where most of your followers came in, where most of your subs came in, most of your clips, which is cool in one regard that I like mostly, which is A, you'll be able to find the funniest moments, but B, you'll be able to see when all those followers come in, you'll be able to check to see what you did previously to that in the terms of like, what did you do that started getting you in front of new people who hadn't seen you before? And so something I always noticed back when I was during the pandemic and during lockdown was that anytime I had a hype train, I would have like 20 new follows come in over the next hour, right? And it was always because what happened would be hype train would go off, I would be put on the Twitch front page under join the hype train as one of the thumbnails. And like, I would have a big like webcam with me in the milk aisle or something interesting happening. And people would click on that one and they would follow because, you know, it was a little extra bonus, right? Of impressions, which is why I always told people, make sure whatever's on your screen, imagine it being all shrunk down and being an interesting thing to click, right? You don't want to be like passed out in the corner, right? Or too small. And so that's cool, right? Like you can see that. Or for example, another one is if you run ads, sometimes when you run ads, you'll turn your pre-rolls off and you can get a bunch of new follows coming in. And that's because people aren't bouncing away from the stream. And so I think that's cool. Credit where credit's due in the terms of like they're adding that. But again, you still don't control where you appear. So
yeah,
that's it. Exactly. But it leads interestingly into the next point that was listed. In next year, 2023, Twitch will experiment with insight data like the best day/time to stream, audience retention, directional guidance, and referral analytics.
How credit where credit's due. I'm not going to like, have a go say they shouldn't. They should add that. But how is it taking this long?
Yeah.
Like how is it taking this long to add retention rate data? Like, are you serious? Like your platform is built on retention rate in the terms of you want people to stay in your streams for a long time. Why are you only now giving us that data? I'll tell you why. You just rested on your laurels until YouTube made you put effort in. Like it's just so, it's like, come on, like I'm glad it's there, but come on, give it to us like a year or two ago.
Yeah, that would have been anything earlier is a lot better because
I'm happy it's coming though.
Yeah, I guess that's a good thing is that we do look forward to it. The only thing that makes me a little trepidatious about that is the fact that it says we'll experiment, like as in we'll give it a shot. But if we don't feel it's necessary to run an extra server to get all these analytics out to you, we may not go through with it, you know?
One analytic that I'm actually really frustrated and I wish they didn't include was best day or time to stream. I don't want them to give that to people because I think that's going to lead to a lot of small creators who don't understand trying to go live at times where they shouldn't.
Yeah.
In the sense that they'll be like, okay, it says the majority of people who follow me are American, therefore I should go live during the day. And it's like, no, you go live when you're most able to make the best content and when you're able to be the most consistent, okay? There are millions of people on Twitch every month. You're going to be able to get an audience no matter what time of day you stream. Just make sure you're streaming consistently around the same time slot so those people can keep coming back, okay? If you can't stream consistently every single day when they're telling you is the best time, then that isn't the best time anymore, right? Like either they need to add a big warning sign next to that analytic or don't include it because people are already confused by VOD views.
Yeah.
Every day I have to link back to an FAQ post that I have there in the Stream Scheme Discord saying, hey, you're not getting 500 views on your VOD. Those are bots that are going through while you're live and they count as views after the fact, okay? It's very confusing for you. Please, Twitch, explain it better, you know? And they're like, wait, so no one's watching me? I'm like, no. If you had 2 average viewers, you didn't get 500 views on your VOD afterwards. I'm sorry.
What was there? Well, like, I can't even remember the reason why they changed that, the way that they show VOD views. Like, what was the whole...
It looked better. That's the entire truth of it. It just looked better for advertisers, looked better for the creators, made people feel special. You know, it makes you feel way better to go, I got 2,000 views on this, you know? And it works too because people would come to my channel and be like, let's take a look. Like this guy watched one of my videos live on stream as a YouTube streamer. He watched one of my videos live on stream. And obviously I got pinged to be like, hey, this guy watched your entire fucking video, right? Didn't commentate whatsoever. But at the end he goes, let's see how good this guy's actually doing. And you can tell he had no viewers and didn't understand the system because it's not like he went to Twitch Tracker or anything. He went to my Twitch channel, looked at my VODs and went, wow, this guy gets like 2,000 average viewers because I had 2,000 VOD views. And I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to copyright strike him or anything. I don't care about that. But I just thought it was so funny to be like, okay, man, like that's not how it works. I had like 180 average at the time, which is still sick, but like, it just looks better. It makes the creators look better, really. The reasoning, they tried to say all sorts of stuff to more accurately reflect, but it's not.
It's for advertisers. You're dead on the money. It's for anyone who's looking on the outside in and going, oh, wow, that's a lot of views that you've had on, you know, whatever you streamed. And as you said, bigger numbers mean better income or whatever it is. Because I'm going to say this right now, and I think we all know, brands on the outside looking in at Twitch have no idea how Twitch operates or live streaming operates at all. They just see a number and they go, if it's big, that must mean they're good.
Yeah, and they go, oh, 100 viewers isn't that much. And Twitch goes, no, you don't understand. It's not 100 viewers. You're not just seeing 100 people. It's 100 people seeing your ad 30 times over 6 hours. They're going to see it so much. They're a more loyal audience. They'll definitely click the ads and they'll engage better. That's why it's so much better. They're more loyal to these content creators.
Yep.
It's like, No, you go to any fucking post about Twitch in the last like 2 years, and it's just slowly people getting more and more annoyed at the advertising density. Like, if I went to Reddit right now and I scrolled through, went to our Twitch, I'm pretty sure one of the top posts would be, "What's going on, guys? I can't find streams," or "Ads are annoying," or "Why have I seen the same ad over and over and over again?" I don't know how they've managed to convince advertisers that they're doing anything other than pissing people off.
Yeah.
Well, I understand brand touches, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But I'm never buying Alienware because of that fucking ad where the boy turns into a CGI boy.
Yeah.
What? I bought 5 as soon as I saw it.
Obviously, like, the ad density is like a problem, but I think, like you're saying, the variety of ads. Like, if you keep seeing the same one over and over again, you're going to get more pissed off at it. I mean, case in point, all your experience with the Optus thing.
Me and AU Cheesy getting destroyed. And those ads are only being shown to ANZ.
Yeah.
Like, to the point where, like, it's not just like viewers either. It's creators. Like, I told the story on the podcast. I had a partner who has like 500, 600 average viewers come up to me drunk saying he wanted to beat the shit out of me because he saw my ad too often. And then after me and Reapz awkwardly shuffled away from him, he said, "Now where the fuck is AU Cheesy?" I was trying to find Cheesy. Like,
it was a really weird experience, I must say.
Like I said, yeah. But speaking of ANZ, this is the last little note of this is we get a little bit of a nod here. Is Zach actually highlights Grassroots?
Yeah, I think it's good.
Which is really, really cool. And for those that aren't in the that are listening or watching that aren't in the ANZ region, essentially this is just one of the many things that Twitch ANZ does that every other region doesn't. So Twitch ANZ the best. It's a program that they run a few times a year where people can nominate themselves or other people to be a part of Grassroots, and it's specifically for affiliates. It's a chance for people who are on their sort of streaming journey to get essentially a little bit of a elevated platform for 2 weeks, where they'll get I think they'll get put on the carousel of the front page, and then they'll also get one dedicated time where they are smack bang at the front on the front page of Twitch ANZ. So it's a really cool program. Cool to see that Zach actually noted it. And
been around for 2 years now?
No, 2017. I started on in 2017.
Didn't they change? Was it the same name?
Yeah, Grassroots.
Yeah.
Okay, so I thought maybe they changed the name. But okay, that's sick. Yeah. And I think ANZ really is the absolute all-time best region. It's a shame they're so small and don't have the control to like do
big
stuff.
And for people, ANZ is Australia, New Zealand. Yes. And
which I think also does include some of the Asia Pacific region as well, I believe.
I think you are right. They look over like Singapore and things like that. You completely dead on. And just another quick thing, I think you may have missed it, Nick, but the content reactions are now being tested live.
I don't know what that is.
That's what I want to know. What are the content reactions?
Okay, so it's essentially, there's a little button near the follow button now which says react.
Oh, I hated this idea when they told us this.
Yes,
okay,
so you can react. I'll post the photo in the general chat.
Thank you.
Essentially, you can click to react, and this is a live thing. You react to moments in this stream. Let the streamer know how you feel about specific moments throughout the stream, and we'll share your reactions with them anonymously. You can react every 5 minutes, and you get a choice between hype, funny, love, what? ? And oh no.
Okay, here's from like this immediate thing that I'm seeing right now. A lot of viewers would use those in different circumstances in terms of like how they view that, because oh no could be a really funny thing, like you know, and they'll react with oh no, but the person watching it may be like, oh, I really fucked up in this moment. So I think they need to be a lot more clear with what they're saying here is like, didn't like this or...
It's nothing. Yeah. Well, they can't. They specifically said they're not going to give you any negative feedback because that would hurt the creator. So it's supposedly only positive feedback. But like, it doesn't mean anything then. It means nothing. Like it's just such a weird concept. It's just another analytic for you to stare at while live and feel judged.
It literally doesn't do anything. And Eljay, I've just linked another photo for you there. So this is what it looks like on the streamer end, where you can see throughout the stream the different reacts that went through.
Hot take.
It doesn't mean anything.
Also, hot take. Love. Why? Why love? Why a love heart? Why a bleed purple love emoji as well? Like, what do you? 90% of creators who watch you are going to be like way too involved anyway, and they're probably all gonna click love, even if like you're making shit content. It doesn't matter. I just can't. I just can't with this shit, man. Like, some of these updates are cool. Other ones, you're like, why are you bothering with this? I get why they don't have negative reacts though, because like obviously you just get trolled to high hell, but like. It's just a weird tool that I don't want to have to stare at more analytics to tell me whether or not I'm doing a good job. I
feel judged as is. You're right. And the thing is, like, I think it's a lot harder to look at analytics for live streaming as well. Because as we said, it's like over 4 hours, 5 hours, however long you go for. Like, you've got to maintain a certain level of energy and everything like that. And a lot of things can go wrong. Well, I think it's a lot easier to look at retention and stuff like that when it is like a 15-minute video per se, because that is a highly orchestrated, edited piece of production that you have given out there that you know the reason why it's there, you know the overall goal. Well, I feel with streaming, it's more kind of like, this sounds like wanky as all hell, but it's like free-flowing. It's basically you're just there to hang out with people. And could you imagine hanging out with a group of people and going, I don't like this. I don't like this type of conversation that we're on right now. Like, it just ruins the flow to me. But again, I'm not sure if I have it. I haven't looked. I don't really look at my analytics. That's just me, because I just always, I feel down. Like, there's great analytics and stuff, but I just never really look at them. It's not something that I can go, I need to improve here, there, and anywhere else, because again, it's live streaming. It depends on how many people are watching and what you're playing is the big overall thing. Yeah,
absolutely. I really don't look at it. The only thing I pay attention to is like the viewership graph for the stream, like afterwards. Like, that's the only thing I just sort of see, you know, how quickly people were coming in, what the average kind of were, you know, was based throughout the entire thing. But to answer your question, yes, I believe when I was in your stream yesterday, I did see the react button on your your stream, Reapz. We can live react to your stream.
Live react, because there's nothing better than receiving live reactions. And also,
it's all. Hey, I'm gonna throw it out there though, really quickly.
Yeah.
I don't want to be. I've already tried to be tongue in cheek, and I've realized people want. I've just realized as I was talking to my wife, I said I was trying to be drama free, and then I realized, and then I read out about drama from Mogul. She goes, people aren't gonna get the joke. And I've realized people aren't gonna get the joke. But also, I'll clarify. Analytics, sweet. I love all this information, but these react ones. It's almost like when we're live, there needs to be like a chat box or something like that where people can give live feedback.
Yeah.
Like, wouldn't it be great if like while we were live, there was a way for someone to like write out words or react? Yeah, like something to put in there. Like, imagine if you made a joke and people could like post a laughing face in like a big thread or something like that to give you information, rather than having like another like little analytic off to the side that's going to tell you how you're doing while you're doing it.
Yeah. No.
Some sort of peer-based reviewing system live is what you're saying.
Some sort of interaction, you know, to get feedback.
I would like to, you know what I would love? I would love to give those people emotes that they could then go, oh, this is funny, or this isn't funny, or like a sipping cup, like they're just enjoying, or a cozy, something like that, that they could then post, and I would see it, and I'll be like, that's how they're feeling right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you can actually like talk back.
No. You're speaking 10 years in the future, Dick. Come on now.
Sorry, I'm getting a little ahead of myself.
We don't have the technology yet. But I must say, like, there's some good stuff in that Twitch news stuff. But again, this is very early days when you look at like viewer engagement metrics. I wonder what that will be and how that will be viewed, because it may just be something that we don't really care about, or it may be something that's really beneficial. But I mean, only time will tell, because it does say sometime in 2023. Who knows what that is? But I would like to say that we touched upon it briefly. The 70-30 split for a lot of big time creators is going down to 50-50. And that's implemented on, I believe, June or July of next year. I think we're going to see a lot of movement, and we're going to see a lot of features added on Twitch, or something to like bridge that gap. Because I think they know that there is a countdown to just like all hell breaking loose in terms of people moving platforms, or, you know, whatever cause. And I'm interested to see or hear what you think that could possibly be, or if I'm completely wrong and it'll just be business as usual with just some backlash around June, July.
Oh, well, Pay Money Wubby came out and said, when they announced the 50-50 lock and their removal of it, he came out and said that he has a deadline for when he's retiring from streaming.
Right.
And that was the day, and then he announced the deadline was the day they take it away from him, which I think is very interesting. I think it's fair, to be honest, because Pay Money Wobby as well, before all of the subathon craze, which is something Reapz and I talked about recently. And I'm not sure if Reapz wants to stir the pot like we talked about.
I could stir the pot, but I was thinking.
Well, we'll see. I don't know. But either way, Pay Money Wobby he used to hold the record for most gifted subs anyone's ever received.
Insane. It was insane.
What was the
it was nothing compared to what it is now. It's not a big deal.
Okay.
But he's always used gifted as a big thing for him. So to hear the 70-30 split that he was on as a grandfathered creator was going away, he was very frustrated because, and his words exactly were, why should they take 50% of my pay when they barely do 50% of the work?
That's a good point.
Absolutely fair.
Completely fair.
It's gonna be interesting. We've obviously saw a lot of the backlash when they made this announcement, and when it actually goes into effect, there'll be a little bit of a hubbub, like, "Hey, today's the day. Today's D-Day." But I think there'll be some people that just kind of will continue business as usual. But I think there'll be obviously be others that will just be like, "Yep, I'm out." Like I think you'll probably have a lot of people that are preparing for a switch to YouTube without a doubt.
Oh,
I mean, people have already started doing once a week. They'll go live and they'll do it on their massive millions of sub YouTube channel, and they find no issue. Like Point Crow's been doing it for a while. I believe if you go to Playboard Co, you can see what people's averages were. And I saw that Point Crow's YouTube streams have been doing honestly amazing compared to his Twitch stuff, especially the big live events have been doing amazing, which I think just goes to show like they're not going to lose if they move across.
No.
Right? They already have memberships turned on. They're already building up the memberships. They're doing all those things. They can't tell those subs to unsub anyway, so they're probably still going to make bank for months from Twitch. Like, there has to be something. And I have no idea what it is.
In a lot of circumstances, they became big because of YouTube. Like it's not like a big thing where it's like, oh, I became huge on Twitch and then I made YouTube stuff, which like 0.00001% of people do that. People became big on YouTube and then like, oh, Twitch is the platform to stream on because they've got a big, viewer base. But now the viewer base is going down. You can say whatever it is because of other platforms or because the pandemic is, nearing an end. But I think for them, they're just kind of like, I don't feel beholden or maybe even a prisoner, that may be too strong of a word, on Twitch. Because I feel like a lot of people who do just live stream, who do get those big old sub-aroonies, they do kind of feel beholden because that's all they have at the moment. That's everything. I know that I feel like that at times. Not a prisoner per se, but in terms of I don't have enough of I don't have any income on YouTube. So it's kind of like I can't just jump over to YouTube with no income. So I've got to work on that now. It's exciting, but yeah. We can talk a little bit about some of these moves really quickly if you want. Please.
For example, let's take a look at this. Like if we look at Point Crow and we look at his Twitch tracker.
Yep.
Okay. Over the last week or so, he usually averages between 1,000 to 2,000. Okay. So 1,500, 1,700, 1,800, 1,400, a 700 one down here because he was just purely playing a Minecraft event. 1,500, 2,000, 1,000 here when he plays Outer Wilds because, it's just not the kind of game people will click him for. A lot of stuff here, like 1,000, 1,500. That's what it is. Then we go over to his YouTube channel. When he did the Mario Party in real life, how many average viewers do you think he had?
Well, it's a big event, and it is on his channel that I'm guessing a lot of people are sub to. I'm going to say 5,000 to 6,000.
I'm going to say close to like around the 10,000 mark.
14,000 average concurrent.
Wow.
Damn.
And peaking at 16,000. So let's look at one that's not an event,
yeah,
where he just played a Pokemon mod, which was where you played an open world Pokemon game where you build a town and stuff like that, which is a really cool mod. How many average viewers do you think you had when you think about the fact that when he played the same thing on Twitch, he had 1,500 to 1,600 average viewers?
I'm going to say 5,000 to 6,000 like I did before.
Yeah, I'll stick with my previous guess, Barrett. 10K?
3,500 average.
Wow, okay. So,
and then previously, he also did, for his very first one, he hit 5,000 concurrent average. He's doubling his numbers with basic streams, and with event streams, he's like not even quadrupling, he's more than quadrupling. Like it's going up to 15,000, 16,000. Like that's wild.
That is huge.
Like it's and he's doing it all with 70% sub split for himself. He's doing it with super chats, which are 100%. He's doing it with no loss. I don't have words, right? Like
you can't argue with the results.
He's not forced to run ads either.
No.
He doesn't have to run any ads.
Well, I guess that's the thing. He is in a position of like power though. Like he I would say fundamentally makes most of his money from YouTube.
Yes.
And he is known more so on YouTube than he is on Twitch, definitely. Because
But that's what we're talking about, the large creators, right? Like you said, like how many of these guys on the 70-30 are going to move across, right? Like this is a guy who's always been 50-50, right? And you can see him already starting the process
of moving across. Well, I guess
the hard part of the small guys. Yeah.
That's the thing. I think the small ones are going to be the ones that probably stick around, because obviously they don't know any other kind of... Any money is good money for them. If they've established a base, they've now got to establish a base somewhere else. But again, I think you do have to put yourself out of the box. You do have to kind of, tread on unholy ground once in a while to make sure that it works. And that's kind of what I'm in the process of, which is fantastic, because I did send my final edit off to the people who I have to do the sponsored video for. And hopefully that's all done. Now I can focus solely on my own journey.
Free.
Yeah, honestly, it has been a journey. It has been a journey for me, like doing the podcast, the streams, the casual job, and then trying to do like my own content as well. I have no time. I'm dead. So I'm really excited for the fact that I can now do that. So I'm very pumped, and I've got many ideas.
Yeah. I think it's like, and we've discussed this before, like the fact that there was finally a proper competitor to Twitch finally has kicked them into gear to actually try and make the platform better. Whether it actually does, whether their efforts are in vain, we'll have to wait and see. But it's good to see that they're at least doing something. They're at least trying something. But YouTube has a hold over them. That there's so much that they just can't compete with, and that's just a fact. And now that with the whole like shorts being fully integrated, and now that when someone discovers a short or discovers your video, they can see that you're live currently with the little red ring. That's just the discovery problem just done.
Yeah.
Like it's essentially solved with the use of other media formats. So it's good to see, but I don't know. It's like I feel like it's like too little, too late. They got too comfortable for too long.
Twitch did.
Yep.
Yeah. I would agree with that. I think so as well. And I think when they did start making changes, I don't know how they fumbled the ball so many times as well. Like, I feel like for the website that's been touted as the one who has the community culture, it's pretty wild to see how out of touch they were with their core community for so long, right? Like those decisions that they were making over the last year and a half. You kind of sat there like, huh?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Why? Why are you doing this? Have you watched a Twitch stream? Have you been involved in the platform? Have you ever read the responses? And it's like, no, we look at the data so we know what we're doing. It's like, I trust you that you probably have the data for it, but the data may talk about one thing and the community culture is going to completely turn against it. The hardcore devout people who spent most of their money probably on the website.
Yep. I think it just comes down to sort of the overall leadership at Twitch. Like I know they got that new guy who's very like money business focused.
Oh, yeah,
and he's pushing all the ads and that kind of thing because he wants to make Twitch profitable. But I think they need some people in charge that actually understand understand creators and what the lifeblood of the platform is and how they better serve it. So
yeah.
I think it's honestly so rough. Like when you think about it in the grand scheme of things, it's just like, I don't know, man. I don't want to get into a whole rant again, but I just feel like it's impossible. And I just feel like it's one of those things that like small creators, like people of our size, that is, have known this issue is coming for such a long time. Like such a long time. It's not been a secret, right? Like no one's talked about it. And I just don't understand how people still try and act like you should go to Twitch because it's the place for live streams. And it's like, to a degree, but also 33% of the Earth's population has a YouTube account.
That's crazy.
You know what I mean? It may not be the place for live streams, but it's the place that most of the people go to. And do you want to be the guy that goes somewhere just because there's a tiny percentage of those people who are actually going there for live streams? Or do you want to be the guy that goes somewhere, builds an audience, and the audience who doesn't watch streams is like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll watch you because cool, yeah, I'll do it. You know what I mean? It just doesn't make sense to me anymore. I feel a bit burnt out having to have the conversation with smaller creators who ask me. Like, I feel like I can understand maybe a year and a half ago, people being like, how do I grow my stream? And me being like, hey, do these things here. But people who have been in my community now for like 2 years, the last like 12 videos have been so heavily focused on you should be looking at these options here. And then they'll be like, hey, I'm not getting any viewers. And I'll go, in the stream, I'll go, well, are you making content on other platforms? They're like, no, I'm not doing any of that. It's like, well, how did you find, like, it says that you're new to the Discord. It says you found me in the last 2 weeks. How have you missed all of this? Like, how have you missed the last like 7 months worth of content that's just talking about such a, and also bigger creators. Like, there are partners with 100 to 300 viewers who have grown purely on Twitch, who are just so anti the YouTube move. They're just so anti YouTube, so anti all of it. And it's like, I get it. You've grown purely on Twitch, and therefore you need to, you feel like that's your place and that's where it is. And you don't want to be that guy who has to build a whole new thing, or that girl who has to build a whole new thing. Like, you don't want to have to do that, and it's scary and it's rough. But like, what you can't sit there and pretend like it's not the right choice.
Yeah.
Like, there are people who sit between 200 to 500 viewers who will be like, oh, another Twitch change or another YouTube change. Watch all the anti-Twitch people come out and start talking smack about it. And it's like,
oh, really?
It's like, they're not talking smack because they think you're dumb for being on Twitch. They're talking smack about it because they're terrified of you guys losing everything.
Yeah.
Right? Like our friend Buzzer, Jack Buzzer, has not been able to go live for like a week and a half because of NBN. And I feel him, right? I get it. I know that pain deeply. If he had no other income, he's in such a bad boat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's why people are so outspoken about like when these changes happen, why people are like, start moving, please.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know.
Yeah. Look, it is scary. Like, at the end of the day, it is a scary move to make. Even partially, like, even if you just, cutting down your streaming focus and moving across, but like, there's these chains that, like, I think a lot of people sort of feel, especially when they're, like, your income like solely relies on Twitch, like in its current state. But I think when you finally get to the point where you can sort of break those chains and start that whole process, like Reapz and I with, shifting down to three days a week, like, I definitely felt like a little bit liberated in that sense. I don't know about you, Reapz. Like, you finally took that dive, took that risk, went down to 3 days, and you're putting that time into something that is just going to be more beneficial for you in the long run.
I think so. And I know that I feel like, we're a broken record at times, but I guess the fact that we're saying it right now is because you can see the results from Nick, you can see the results from Eljay, and we're also going into a new year. And I know that a lot of people have that thing about resolutions for the new year. And I guess it feels like if you're just stagnating or feel that what you've got going on now is on very uneven ground, or you're trying to think to yourself, how can I future-proof what I love doing? I think now's the time to actually just really look back and go, okay, this is what I achieved this year, but how much more could I have achieved if I did this, if I did that, if maybe I just put a little bit more time into learning this skill, or putting more stuff out on a platform that I may not frequent, but I know a lot of people frequent because it's for the benefit of me and me alone. And you're right, there is a scary thing about failure. But again, from every failure comes a learning experience. I know that sounds hokey and cliche and shit, but it's so true. And once you do have something pop off, like I can say from the outside looking in at both Eljay and Nick right now, they're elated. They feel like new people. Like their life worth feels like a lot more to them. Like I just see this glow. And I'm just like, that's awesome. It's awesome to see. And again, we want the best for obviously the people listening out there, because again, you're the ones that's listening to us. You want to improve and do it. Like 2023 is right around the corner. Now's the time to make those changes that you want to do and want to see. Just go for it. Like, you've got nothing to lose. You literally have nothing to lose apart from maybe a few hours streaming. And even then, we know there's been those days where you go live for 8 hours and you're like, I got a few followers, got a few subs, but at the end of the day, I didn't do anything for 8 hours.
Yeah, I got a great video coming soon on SSN. I made a post saying, "Hey, give me your streaming hot takes of 2022," and I've got a bunch. I've got like 100 comments. I've got like 100 comments on it, and there's some really good ones. Iona had a really, really good one, which was, "Don't expect to grow on a platform you don't watch or care about."
Yeah.
And I was like, damn fucking straight.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
And I think that's why people are like, oh, shorts and YouTube videos don't work. And I feel like the reality is it's just like, they're not doing it for the right reasons. They're doing it because they want to grow as streamers. And it's like, and that's going to be the ultimate issue, is that people just don't want to be creators. They want to just be streamers.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be the problem this next year, right? Is that over the next year, people are going to try to become streamers, and they're going to realize they're screwed if they don't go out of their way to take control of their growth by learning skills to become creators. They want their dream job, but the work to be their dream job means turning their dream job from streaming to content creation in general.
Yeah. Like, because they just want to be able to, they just want to go live and play a game. They don't want to have to sit there and be like, oh, I have to think of a video concept. Oh, I have to package it. I have to make a good thumbnail. I have to come up with a good title. They don't want to do
100,000 views was 8.5 hours worth of recording and 15 to 18 hours worth. Not actually way more than that. It was like a whole of 30 hours of editing.
Yeah.
It was like 40 hours I put into the Lechong video, and I got 100,000 views in 9 days. And it's like, would I have gotten 100,000 views if I'd put 40 hours into streaming? Fuck no.
Yeah.
Absolutely
and I think you're
not.
right. I think people don't want to do the work. I feel like we've talked about it. It's a lot easier to go live, play the game that you like. But when you actually put work into something and you do see those returns, isn't it like the best feeling? Because you feel like you had a goal, you achieved that goal. Well, rather, I feel like when I have a really good stream, it's kind of luck based. It's kind of like, oh, I got a big raid from somebody and now it's popping off and I love it. Oh, I love streaming. And I do. I always love streaming. I really enjoy it, right?
Until it ends.
Until it ends. And then obviously you go,
Yep. The high ends until you wake up the next day.
yep.
And then
You
it's
have to
just
do it all
like,
over
you're back
again.
to it. Unless...
And when you click go live, you're like, I'll never hit those heady heights again.
Yeah.
Whereas, again, opposite is like, I've had a really big successful video, so has Nick. And while our next videos probably won't be anywhere near as successful, it is a matter of what we release to next time is going to do better necessarily anyway, as long as it's on the same topic, because they build into each other.
Yes.
And I think it's interesting because when I've had really big successful streams, the imposter syndrome has been wild. But when it comes to YouTube, I feel like the imposter syndrome is way less, because it's like, I know I put the time and energy in for this to work. You know what I mean? And you get the feedback of people being like, how do you only have 5,000 subs? Which is like the best comment, right? That is like the best comment, to get that comment. Or like, I've never laughed this many times in a video, or how do you only have this many views, or whatever it is, like all those comments. And you're like, yeah, like I did put energy into this.
Yeah.
You know, I put time into this. I put thought into this. You know, I sat there and I made the story. I crafted an actual idea. I didn't just like play a game normal as pie. So I don't know. I think it is. It's definitely a more rewarding thing to do in the long term.
Yeah, definitely. I've been getting like those comments on mine as well, where someone's like, dude, like you've earned yourself a new sub. Like, I love how much detail you go into, like, and all the information. Like, oh my god, the quality from this video. Like, you should like how you only made a few videos on this channel so far. Like all those types of comments, and it just makes you feel so good because you put that effort into that video, and like you're like people are acknowledging that. And there's not a feeling quite like it's like, even if you put on a good stream and you still get those people being like, oh, like how are you not partnered? Like how are you not play any bigger? And you just kind of sitting there going, you know, it's like, yeah, whatever.
Also, the partnered one is like it's like getting negged.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought about this? I find when I was still growing and I wasn't partner yet, and people would be like, how are you not a partner? I always felt like I was being negged, like I was at a bar and like some douche was trying to like pick me up. Like I always be like, because in their heads they're like, you have it because of the numbers, and they don't mean it this way, but it's like, at least on YouTube, it's like, as long as you're not breaking their rules, if you hit their criteria, you'll get monetized, right? Like Stream Room, we were monetized. I put all the data in, and within 24 hours, we were monetized.
Yeah.
Right. On my Eljay channel, they're taking weirdly 3 days to review my process so far, which
You are shady. You are. We've known about your Cayman Islands 10-cent industry thing. So yeah.
I think they're taking a little while because they're like, oh, if we monetize him now, we have to pay him for how well this video is doing. Ooh. I don't know.
Not let that happen.
Yeah.
I think it's because it was over the weekend. But I don't know. I think like it's one of those things, right? Like where people are like, oh, why are you not partner yet? Doesn't feel as good as how do you only have 5,000 subs? Because it's like, it's just like one of them is long term. I'll get there eventually. Don't worry. The other one is, yeah, you're right. I have to sit here and keep fucking going live and hope that I hold these numbers out of luck, really.
Yeah.
Right. Like And or maybe not necessarily fully luck, like people play Dead by Daylight for 12 hours every single day just so they can maintain 150 average. Then they get monetized, they try to play other horror games and they drop to like 50. And they're like, okay, back to DBD.
DBD is definitely a staple.
Let's go. It's like,
for
time to
communities,
do
for sure.
my 10th playthrough of Dark Souls.
Yeah.
At least that, like, they can do different builds and things.
Still, there's a peak eventually.
Yeah, I guess. I'm playing the same game. But do we have any questions? Or did
The only question we had this week was from Carrot is what I remember them as, but they've changed accounts now. And they were talking about how they hate challenge content. And they were asking, do they feel like they're in the minority? Can you grow without challenge content? And that sort of thing. It was a very big one, so I'm summarizing it down. And I don't know, what do you guys think? Do you feel like that there's a plague of challenge content and it's terrible, or do you feel like the majority of minority?
Could you give me like an example? Is this on YouTube?
They pretty much reference they reference the Point Crow, Small Ant, or me kind of content where it's like, I am going to do X, but I'm only going to do it through Y.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
Which is just like it. You know, I think it's a pretty staple these days of an interesting way of doing something. But what do you think? Is it a plague? Is it like the Mr. Beastification? Is it shit now? What do you guys think about it?
I think for challenge content, every game that you play is a challenge, right? Like that's the whole point of a game, is that it's challenging and you hopefully are the successor or you fail at it, right? So I think it's very hard to stray away from gaming content that isn't challenge content unless you're, say, doing a review or, something along those lines. So I think they go hand in hand. Like we talk about niches, and challenge content and gaming goes hand in hand. It's an obstacle. You've got to overcome it. So no, for me personally.
In a landscape that is saturated by people wanting to be creators who, with many different categories, there's like hundreds, thousands of people all trying to play the same game. It's the only feasible way for you to make interesting content around a certain game or thing. If you if Point Crow and Small Ant, if they weren't doing the challenge content, they wouldn't be where they were because they'd just be playing Pokemon. They would they wouldn't be doing anything that is different from other people that you could possibly watch. So it's obviously, everyone has their own tastes of what they like to consume and their own opinions and things like that. But the challenge idea, the challenge content thing, it's at its core, it's a creativity aspect. You're doing something interesting. You're creating something of value for people to consume in what is otherwise a game that is being heavily saturated in terms of what content's being made about it. They're coming up with different, unique angles, and it makes for content. So no, that is what you need to do. Like at a core concept level, they are making a different perspective, or having a different perspective of a particular game. I'm going to play Mario blindfolded. I'm going to play Pokemon, but all my Pokemon are level 1 only. It's interesting. It's fun.
Yeah, I find that I agree with all of that, and I think that a big thing to remember is that I just think people often, when they think of challenge content, especially when creators say they don't like it, I think it comes from an idea of they probably haven't seen. They're probably going into content creation for different reasons to what people are, right? Like some people go into it because they want interaction, right? They don't care about the challenge. They want to go into streaming for the interaction, which is fair. And everyone goes into these things for different reasons. And I don't think you have 110% to do challenge content. You don't have to whatsoever. But I think you do need to do something, as Nick puts it, to stand out of the saturation, right? And the problem is that to stand out from saturation, you need to provide some sort of unique value. And that could be that you're going to do guides, right? That are more informative and more informational. You could do reviews that are more informative, more informational. Or you can do content that takes hours and hours more than anyone else would be willing to do, right? Or extreme gaming challenges or whatever it is. But the problem is that your personality isn't interesting enough to get a click because you can't show off an interesting personality in a thumbnail. So you have to show off an interesting concept in a different form. I think that's the big problem is a lot of people look at challenge content and they go, I don't want to do that. You know, I just want to play games and show off my personality. And it's like, well, the reason we all default to doing challenge stuff is because it's a good, unique way to get someone to click in for our personality, right? Also, challenge content could be something as little as, honestly, I'm going to play Pokemon Scarlet, but I don't want to use potions in battle because it's too easy, right? And it's just about packaging that in an interesting way. And I just find that sometimes it's same as what we do, where sometimes we're a bit harsh to things we don't understand, which we're all very aware of on this podcast when we like say we don't necessarily enjoy Kai Cenat's content, right? Not because, it's not because he makes bad content, it's because we're just in no way his demographic.
Yeah.
I think one of the things to remember is that content is always about the demographic involved and what they're trying to get out of it. And it could be that they're trying to, get the people who don't like it are there because they want something else. And there are creators like that. It's much more difficult to stand out if you're a creator trying to, it's hard. It's hard to walk the balance, I find.
Yeah.
Although I do enjoy what's funny as well? I also way more enjoy making challenge content than I do just Let's Play content. Having an actual like goal or a set of rules is so much more fun than just fucking playing a game.
Yeah.
Like, especially if it's a game that's like fairly easy. Like Mario Party's fucking easy. So is Pokemon. So are all these things. Breath of the Wild. Like I did Breath of the Wild. The most fun I had in that game was doing a 3-heart master mode run. Hardest difficulty, 3 hearts. First thing I did, I just ran straight to Ganon. And I ran through Ganon's castle on 3 hearts with no equipment, picking up random things and like filling it out, doing what I could. And it was the most fun I'd ever had on stream, right? It's just so much more interesting.
Yeah.
To do something like that. Like you don't have to worry or stress, you can just pump it out. I don't know. I just find that people are quick to assume one way of something or looking at it only from one perspective. But sometimes if you try it out, you might find a way to do challenge content in a way that you really enjoy.
Sure. Sorry.
I was just gonna say like Ambiguous Amphibian is a really good example as well. I feel like his challenge content is less so challenge and more so just like interesting ways to play the game. You know what I mean? It's not like he's going to make it brutal. He's just like, hey, I'm going to play RimWorld in a specific type of faction or a specific type of way and then package it really well. But I don't know. That's my thoughts.
Yeah. Like it could be something that's like, I'm going to play Pokemon, but I'm only allowed to use fire types or Pokemons that have it like a fire typing.
Oh, you've been looking at my Notion board. Okay.
Yeah. I hacked in. But what you said is like, is really sort of key there. It's like, yeah, then you might want to be putting your personality forward, but sometimes it's okay to like have an assistance with that, creating an idea to assist with you presenting that piece of content. You come up with an idea, and then because there's a goal, right? The goal isn't just play the game and finish it. It's suddenly like, oh, there's an extra layer, no matter how big or small, and so you can start injecting your personality probably a lot further into it than you probably normally could in a lot of other cases. So, and it pays off way more in the long run, and I think creates a lot more interesting content.
I think that's the main thing. One of their main questions was, am I in the minority here? And I think that it's a matter of maybe, to be honest. I don't know if it's a minority-majority thing. I think it's more just that there's lots of different content out there for a lot of different people and a lot of different reasons. And I think that currently the challenge content is just such a fun way to show off that you have a creative way of playing things, like Nick said, right? Like Doug does such fun creative ideas. I wouldn't call them challenge content. I would just call them really fun, creative, dumb ways to play games. And I think that finding dumb ways to play games is fun because everyone can relate to being a kid where you've got one game and you play it to death in so many dumb fucking ways. Right? Like I played Kingdom Hearts 2 for so long and for so many hours to the point where I'm pretty sure I played through the entire thing again. And I just set the rule for myself that I wasn't going to use any kind of magic or anything like that. And I was just going to be brute force. Right? And it made the game brutal, but I loved it. Just banging my head against the wall. And I think everyone can relate to like finding new ways to enjoy something you love, like in a new, interesting way, even if it's outside of content creation.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I can't wait for the people to comment being like, but Doug has like hundreds of viewers when he streams. Of course he can do that content. It's like, no, we've talked about this before. Even Ludwig was doing stuff and when he had like barely any viewers, and he would still attempt to, he would still go out and make that content. So you could still work your way up.
it's easier, right, to have a goal. Actually, if you have 0 viewers, like the Lechonk video I did offline, you know what I mean? That's a challenge. Can you breed 251 of one thing without losing your fucking mind? I didn't. I lost it, but it's still, like, I don't know. I think it was an interesting concept, but I just think challenge content is one word for it. I think finding creative ways to enjoy something that people love is another way of doing it. Finding a unique expression for your own voice.
Yeah.
Yep. Exactly it.
I think I blacked out for that last 10 minutes, to be honest. I don't know what I said.
Challenge content, as we said, is up to a demographic. It's up to you if you like it or don't like it. But I think it's honestly, I prefer to watch stuff like that than a Let's Play or a review. But that's just me.
The only Let's Player that I still watch is Northern Lion, but that's because he's built different.
I haven't watched Northern Lion
he is.
stuff. Yeah.
He's so his banter is just wildly good. So it's just like you'll just always enjoy. It's like honestly, his games are like ASMR. It's really weird, and not in the way. He's not like
yeah.
Like I mean, like he's just like the cadence, the rhythm, the way he talks, everything like that has this weird like. It's enjoyable. It's fucking strange. I don't know.
Can I kind of want to put a little bit of a hot take out there. Now I want to clarify before I say this that. I understand there's lots of different types of content, right? There's, and everyone has their own tastes and things like that. But sometimes it feels like that the majority of people getting into content creation don't want to be creative.
No, they don't.
That's
not a hot take. That's a truth.
It just feels like so many people just don't want to be creative. They just don't at all.
It's called content creation in the sense of creativity.
Exactly. Yeah.
But they're not doing it for that. They're doing it because they're gamers and they enjoyed watching Yogs or Rooster Teeth or Seen Annas or something like that. But they aren't. That's not a bad thing either. You can be motivated to do those things, but I think they get into it for the reason of they want to give people the feelings that they got from when they used to watch Ray and Gavin play Minecraft.
Yeah.
That's just. But they don't realize that the word content creation isn't just uploading Let's Plays. It's creating something of unique value.
And I think a lot of people just don't even realize that they even had, even those people that you listed and mentioned still had to have meetings. They still had to discuss video ideas. They still had to sort of think to themselves, how can they make the videos interesting? It's not just as easy as, booting the game up and then, just playing and having a bit of chemistry. Could work, that works well for a collab stream here and there, but
an established audience creator as well.
Yeah, exactly. So
Achievement Hunter and those guys didn't grow from just doing Let's Plays. They grew from really interesting guides early on and then created a whole team. And it's the same with the Yogs, you're right. You're 100% right. Even those people who are inspired by it did things in an interesting way. Like the Seen Annas stuff, right? I always feel like I say his name wrong because his name's Sean, but it's like they're calling him Seen Annas. Does anyone feel like that?
Sean Annas,
sure.
Yeah, but essentially people will be like, yeah, they just did Let's Plays. But actually, if you think back to it, they just didn't package it as challenges. But every single time they did prop hunt or hunt or demon hunt or whatever it was, they would do the hidden. They would have funny voices or rules themselves. In this prop hunt, you can only use a sword to hit people. You can't use your guns or your grenades and stuff.
You have to be the largest, an item over the size of a box. Yeah, it was.
And they were finding creative ways to do it. They just weren't packaging it as that.
No.
But I think when you package it as that, people are suddenly like, oh, that's challenge content. It's no, it's just it's how people play games. It's just different packaging.
And I think you got to see the stuff that it cuts through because as we know, YouTube gets bigger and bigger and bigger every year. There's more people on the platform. There's also you're dealing with all the archival footage, people doing games that you're only playing just now. And if you've got a packageable content that cuts through everything else and makes you go, ooh, that looks interesting, you're doing so much of the job right then and there. And again, I feel that people want to become creators because when you watch a video, I know that when you watch a really good video, you feel inspired or you feel happy or creative or whatever it is, right? But then there's the reality of you don't see all the work behind the scenes of what you had to do to get up to that point. And a lot of people then go into it thinking, oh, I thought it was going to be all fun and games because I really enjoy watching these videos, but making videos seems to be a whole different ball game. Yeah, it is.
Pretty much every single Minecraft video from Achievement Hunter back in the day was all like a challenge idea. It was like, oh, it started with the race to, like, after they played a few times, like learning Minecraft, it was the race to Bedrock. Oh, Jeff coming up with another like mini game idea that he forces the other members to partake in. Every video was in its essence a challenge. Challenge idea.
I
just came up with a great idea from this, to be honest. Can you bleep this, Reapz, and I'll tell you boys and get your live reaction on your thoughts?
Yeah.
Okay, so you know how wonder trading exists,
Yes.
right? This is the part to bleep. Ready? I wonder traded one of every Pokemon in the Pokemon Scarlet Pokedex.
That's good. That's good. How many Pokemon are there in this Pokemon Scarlet Index?
400.
I take it back.
Yeah, that's
going to be
400.
60 hours of gaming footage.
There's 400. Yeah. Maybe I won't record me getting them all.
I would just do your top 20 or so, but say that you got them all, but there's your top 20. No, you won't do it all.
That's cheating.
It's going to be...
No, I'm not.
No. I don't mean only show 20. I mean, do all 400, but I mean, if you're going to show a video, you're not going to show 400 trades, are you? That'll be a big-ass video.
I'll show all 400 trades, yeah. I showed all 251. You should just... Dude, Reapz, if you watch that video...
Thing.
I do the... No, it's fine, all right. I do the Pokemon rap during the Lechonk one at one point. I'm there, like, saying everyone, like... Eevee, Lechonk, this, all 251 of it. Like, it goes, all right?
Okay,
and that's why it works.
You do 400, you do it. Anyway, this is all bleep, so it doesn't matter. I'm going to cut in.
Just the important ones.
Now.
I don't know. Fuck it. I don't know. No one's going to do it. No one who watches this is going to do it.
What an amazing idea, LJ. It's going to go viral. Holy shit.
Well, you just let me know if you want to keep it in or out. Is all
I don't think anyone... No one cares. Get excited.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
I've got to do a video anyway where I fill out the entire Scarlet Pokedex. So that's fine. I'm doing that. So then I'll just, after I'm done with that, I'll go into the next one where I trade them all.
Yeah.
That's good. Okay, that's smart. That's two birds with one stone.
And then LJ will work on doing a shiny living dex and then trading those shinies.
No, I will not. Never. I refuse to ever do that.
I've got to nod my head like I know. Yes, shinies are hard.
Yeah.
We should probably wrap up though, as we're 2.5 hours.
We're dropping some frames.
We are dropping frames. The frames are being dropped deeply. I got to run out of here. Any last words, boys?
Thank you so much by hitting that like button if you're this far along, leaving a comment, and obviously maybe perchance thinking of subscribing to the channel if it fits your vibe, but if not, completely cool too.
Yeah, I mean, I think what we would really love for Christmas is to you guys to show the podcast to one person you think would really enjoy it.
Put that in the Christmas stocking and...
I want an iPad.
No, screw you. You don't get an iPad.
You get a podcast that you give to somebody else.
Yeah.
So that we get subs.
Give them the iPad to listen to the podcast.
Yeah. That's right. It's gonna be
don't get an iPad?
Yeah.
Who's getting the iPad?
Anyway, thank you so much for watching, everybody. We'll see
Don't you cut me off.
We'll
Don't
see
you
you
talk
again
over
next
me.
week. Have a lovely time. Have a great
lovely
Christmas.
Who gets the iPad?
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.
Don't you cut me off mid